up in that tree. What you doing up there? Why you scared? Why you running from every debate? You ran from Andrew and from me. Not till the monkey, you like they female monkeys with their bananas between their trees, hanging down upside down, frown, that's a smile, it's a smile. Now tell a monkey what you doing to me. Dill a monkey, dill a monkey. What you doing to me? Dill a mother monkey, dill a monkey. Oh, monkey. Oh,
Well, you had something to hide. Shouldn't it shouldn't you? Now you're not satisfied with what you're being put through. It's just time to pay the price for not listening to advice and deciding in your youth on the policy of truth. Never again is what you swore the time before. Never again is what you swore the time before.
I see we're going to have a slow boy day. Bobby, unmute, dude. You don't want to unmute? You know how to do it?
Hey, Jay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's up, man?
I'm doing good. Just first off, thanks for what you do, man. I really respect what you do and your knowledge and everything. Do you want me to just jump in or?
Sure. What's on your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if this is pertinent to what you want to talk about today, so feel free to just shut me down and tell me to come back. But I have a few Orthodox friends, Catholic. I was raised Catholic myself. I guess that's not really important right now. But my question would be, it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, with Orthodox and Christianity in general, the categorization of like human being, I've been slowly radicalized over like the past 5, maybe 10 years. And that categorization, in my mind, doesn't really hold much water. And I don't want to be like Fed posty, but just like on a gut instinct, like lopping me in, like I'm European, don't need to get into the specifics, but like lopping me in with like an Australian abo on like and you could say like that's on the material plane, sure. But like even on the spiritual plane, like that doesn't seem very, it doesn't hold water with me. And then you get into Christianity, like there are categorizations based on biology. Say like, and this is probably oversimplification, but like a housefly is not going to go to heaven, right? So I'm just wondering, like, what's the justification for drawing that line there? Like, because some of my friends, like one of my Orthodox friends said, like, okay, maybe it's like intelligence and like how the organism interacts with reality. But it's just like, well, there are some quote unquote human beings who are less intelligent than, say, very intelligent primates. Like that's just a fact. So I'm wondering, like, what's the justification for the categorization? And like,
okay, well, do you think an infant is a human being?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but not Aboriginals. So what's the way to determine who is and isn't one?
Well, that's what I'm asking, because like.
Well, you just said an infant is one, so I mean, I'm asking what your criteria is.
Well, I guess maybe I misspoke. I guess I don't know. Like a human being, I guess, like is a baby Aboriginal Australian a human being? I don't know. I'm not gonna.
Well, what I'm asking is, if it's an IQ question, then the baby doesn't make the cut. So a baby's not there yet, right? Maybe even a 2-year-old too, right?
Yeah, and that was what I said, because I don't take the IQ thing, like the IQ thing, because that's what my friend said, and I'm just like, well, that doesn't really make sense, because like, what if someone with Down syndrome? You know what I mean? So like, what is? Well,
why does a universal classification of a group of people necessitate that they're all going to have the same characteristics or manifestations?
But we're using people again, like these words that I personally reject, like people.
On what basis, though? Like, so there's no classes of things at all?
Well, there are, but like, what's the justification for throwing, say, I don't know, you in the same category as a 58 IQ Aboriginal? And the IQ thing, yeah.
I thought IQ didn't matter. Now it does, or what?
No, it doesn't. You're right. I'll take that out. But you agree with me. There are categorizations and classifications based on biology. Like, say, like I already said, like a cat.
Yeah, but you're just assuming a reductionist approach. So why is that the only way to group or class things?
Yeah, like that's a fair point, I guess. But there is a you agree.
Let's take a family. Okay, a family is a grouping of people. I believe a family has a real metaphysical connection between the members. Does it follow from the fact that they're all grouped in one class of being in this family that they're all going to have the same IQ, the same characteristics, the same traits, the same gifts?
No, and okay. I guess.
So then why, in the broader sense of the human species, would we expect that it would be that way?
Because I don't like the human species. What does that mean? Because like even Homo sapiens, it's not a scientifically robust categorization. It's not.
Okay, is family a robust scientific classification?
I guess not.
Okay, so there's no universals.
No, there's universals, but okay, well, so then why don't we?
Okay, then what's the scientific justification for universals?
My question is, I don't know how to answer that. You got me on that one. My question is, why don't we? Why isn't it extended? And maybe it's a stupid question, but I just, on a gut level, there has to be some like there's lines drawn.
I don't know what you mean. A gut level, like that's arbitrary. What I don't even know what that means. What you think is a gut level doesn't. It's not the same as what I think. So what is it? So again, what's the argument?
Okay, so there's classifications based on biology. A cat can't go to heaven, for lack of a better example.
Yeah, a cat is not a human person.
Okay, but human person, what is a human person?
It's defined theologically and metaphysically based on the Christian worldview.
Okay, so can you give me that definition?
Yeah, it's a being made in the image of God with a rational soul and a body and a heart, a nous.
Okay, so somebody says, I don't believe sub-Saharan Africans fit that definition. They can't be a Christian, correct?
Yeah, you can't say that any human being lacks the qualities that make that nature what it is. So basically what you're saying is there are no such things as natures. I'm going to use a scientific biological reductionist category. But as we've seen in this discussion, you don't actually apply that consistently. It's just arbitrary.
Why don't I apply that consistently?
Because of the arguments that I just made within the last 5 minutes about families as groupings.
I still don't. I guess I'd have to go think about it some more. Like,
I mean, do you understand when you adopt a position, there's implications. So maybe you haven't thought about the implications. I'm not being rude to you. I'm just asking, like, so there's no such thing as universal human nature. There's no category of collectives at all, or some of them.
I just the term human, I think, and maybe I've been like.
So do you follow through with that in other categories, or is it just the word human? And why is it just the word human? I mean, why would we not extend this to all classifications?
Well, I think the categorization of human is used in a very different way than any other classification, even within the Christian framework. Like, if you're saying only humans have souls and can go to heaven, that sets it apart from any other categorization. Is that incorrect?
Well, it's unique in that regard, but in other regards, it's similar to classifications because it's a collective grouping. It's a species. Are there species or no species?
Yeah, definitely. I guess maybe I presented it wrong. Maybe don't throw out the categorization of human. Just why are some of these other groups, which some people would say, once again, I don't want to be inflammatory.
Okay, well, I mean, amongst dogs, don't you get a variation of breeds?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so why would we? From that, would we throw out the word dog as a classification because there's variations of dog breeds?
No, but okay, so then use the term Homo sapien. The thing is human.
So
has
been, you contradict yourself every sentence. So I'm not understanding what. Help me understand what you're not getting, because your argument is based on there not being a classification of human because of the variations amongst the species. The same argument applied to dogs. You say no, don't throw it out. So yeah, make sense of this?
Yeah. Well, what I just said, human is I would put it apart than dog. Like dog, the categorization of dog hasn't been politicized or even like religiousized.
But look, that's not the argument that you made as to why it doesn't work. You said it doesn't work because there's traits and characteristics that Aborigines lack.
No,
and
so
yes, you did. You said you mentioned IQ and then you backtracked. So
I said my friend said that and I rejected it. I asked him, what's
the you then again said IQ and then backtracked it after that.
Well, if I threw it in, I misspoke. That's not my contention. My contention is, what's the justification for putting and I don't want to pick on Australian Aborigines. It's just outlier case.
So again, do you want me to state it for the fourth time? How is it different from dog breeds?
It's totally different. I already said, like, dogs don't go to heaven, so that's why it's different.
Oh my God, dude, I'm sorry. Like this is a challenge here because you're having a hard time understanding very basic distinctions in philosophy. The argument's premises are the same in application between dog breeds and human variation. Of course, it's different in the sense that a dog doesn't have a soul. But that's a category error. It's the argument itself, the principles. You're arguing that because there's differences amongst the variations within that group that we have to throw out the grouping. And so I'm saying if you apply that same argument, that principle, right? You don't know the difference between the principle of an argument and the content of the argument. The content is not relevant here. It's the principle of that argument applied to a different category. That's why it illustrates that it doesn't work. It's an inconsistent, arbitrary usage of this. You don't understand that?
No, I understand it, yeah. So are you saying like the early church fathers, what were their writings on this? They believed like a sub-Saharan was the same as like, say, I don't know.
Did I say they're the same? Are you a stupid person? Did you not hear what I just said for the last 5 fucking minutes, dude?
Nice question, dude. Relax.
I mean, you literally just threw out everything I explained to you within the last 10 seconds. What's the disconnect here? I just literally told you like 5 times in a row that it's like dog breeds, that there's variations amongst the species. And then you just said, did they say that they're all the same? Do you understand that something can be the same or united in one respect and different in another respect? Again, does every member of a family have the same IQ, the same gifts, the same characteristics?
No, but they'd be in the same league, for lack of a better term.
What do you mean by league? So, in other words, you can classify things in one sense, but they can also have differentiation in another way. It's a both and, not an either. You're setting up an either or. You don't understand this? This is like
No, I
foreign
do.
philosophical
No,
concept.
you're obviously more well-read than me.
It's not a question. It's a ability to make distinctions, dude. What do you mean? It's not a question of being well read.
I didn't study philosophy. Obviously, I need to pick up on my foundational, whatever. I don't even know the term for it. Of course.
Do you understand the comparison to a family?
I do. I guess I'm trying to accept Christianity, and you can call me any name you want, but I don't know.
I'm not having to call you names. Like, I'm laying out very basic ideas, and there's a disconnect, and I'm not It's frustrating because I'm not understanding where the disconnect is. Like, what is the disconnect when I give you the analogy of a father, a mother, a baby, a grandmother? Let's say the family has a retarded child. Is that child not a member of the family because he's retarded?
No, of course, and this is my question. But when I guess I'd say I look at an once again. Don't want to click on. I look at a sub-Saharan, and I'm like, that's not part of my family. Like what? Because they walk on 2 feet and they can talk.
So
like,
the classifications in Christian theology come out of a metaphysical principle that is not reducible to biology. Biology
is.
Why are you interrupting me, man? Biology is just one component of a person. It's not the only characteristic and component. So you're reducing things to biological components, but you can't even tell me what the biological component is because it's not IQ. So then what is it?
I don't know. That's why I signed on and asked you. But that's not even true. And correct me if I'm wrong. There is distinctions based on biology because a cat.
Did I say that there's not just what? Dude, I mean, I didn't say there's not distinctions based on biology. I said that you can't have a reductionist cat. This is just too stupid, man. Can't do it.
Okay, awesome.
Brantley, what's up? I mean, if you can't make basic philosophical distinctions, it's not going to work. I don't understand. If you make 4 or 5 different analogies and the person is just too stupid to get it, I don't know what to say. What's up, man? The assumption seems to be that you can only classify things one way, and if there's differences amongst those classes, then there's no class, which is just it's too stupid to even. It's too stupid to even. I mean, there's differences between males and females, right? Let's have a high IQ white woman and a high IQ white dude. Well, they have pretty significant differences. One has a penis, one has a vagina, and totally different inner pipe workings. Oh, well, I guess that there's no such thing as male and female now because you can't classify male and female as together part of the human species. It's just look how mean Dyer is. Look how mean Dyer is. When you explain something like 5 times with 5 different analogies. What's up? What's funny is that like that guy thinks he's superior when he literally has the IQ maybe a little bit above the sub-Saharan African. What's up?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Is there a specific thing you wanted to debate since you asked me to?
Well, yeah, you're the one talking about your shit, so why don't you make good on your claims?
Which claim? Because I was mostly just making fun of him. I wasn't like making a theological argument.
So you don't actually have an argument against any of my positions. You just have jokes.
No, 'cause I was just making fun of him for converting over incense, and then you asked me to debate you.
Sure. Yeah. So
I do have the theological disagreements with you. I was just wondering if there's something you want to talk about because I have a couple questions for you.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So why do the Orthodox reject PSA, penal substitutionary atonement, and original sin?
Well, PSA is anti-Trinitarian, first of all.
All right. Could you explain that?
Sure. Do you believe that Jesus was damned on the cross like most of the classical reformers?
Damned on the cross to what do you
pay.
mean by that?
To pay the debt.
Yeah, he paid the debt.
Okay, was the debt damnation?
Damnation to hell?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jesus is a divine person and the Father damned him?
Yeah.
Okay. So how does that split the Trinity?
No.
Okay, so Jesus is damned by the Father, but it doesn't split the Trinity.
Yes.
How does that work? Did the Father cease to indwell the Son?
The Father ceased to indwell the Son. No.
Oh, so the Father went to hell too.
No, because only the person of Jesus went to hell.
But the Father indwells the person of Jesus.
Wait, the Orthodox don't think Jesus
Are
descended
you not
to
going to
hell?
answer that? Don't change the question. Explain to me
Wait.
what you mean by PSA. Why are you changing the subject?
I'm not trying to change the subject.
You
said-
are. I'm explaining to you why it's an anti-Trinitarian blasphemous doctrine. So you just told me Jesus was damned. The Father still indwells the Son, but the Father's not damned?
Yes, the Father is not damned.
Okay,
'Cause
but he
not
indwells
everything
the
that
Son.
happens-
Does he? Do you know what the doctrine of perichoresis is?
No.
Okay, so you don't know basic Christian theology, but you're here to tell me what's right and what's wrong. So how does the Father cease to indwell the Son if he's not going to be in hell with the Son?
He doesn't cease to indwell the Son, I said.
Okay, so then he goes to hell with the Son.
And I guess his being, they have one being,
His
but
being.
Not in the personhood.
So who's damning who?
The Father damns the Son to hell.
Okay, is the Holy Spirit damned too?
No.
Oh, okay. So, but I thought the
Maybe.
Trinity do the persons indwell one another?
Yes.
Okay, so when the Holy Spirit and the Father are indwelling the Son, are they indwelling him in hell?
Well, not everything that happens to the Son happens to the Father.
Oh, so now you're a
In some
tritheist.
sense, it does. Not in some sense, it does. But you can't, you wouldn't say that.
Okay, did the
When
Father
Jesus,
turn his will against the Son
Did the Father turn his will against the Son?
when he damned him?
Yes.
Okay, so how many wills are there in the Trinity now?
I'd say one, but
Oh, wait a minute. How does
Just
there
like
one will
two,
when the
Jesus-
the Father turns his will against the Son?
when the Father turns his will against the Son to send the Son to hell, which also is the Son's will. The Son is submitting to go to hell with him.
So how many wills? So you just said he turned his will against the Son. So is there two wills
It's
in the
against
Trinity?
the Son. No, because the Son's will is in line with the
So
Father's.
you're insane. See, you've blasphemed God right now by saying that Jesus is damned to hell, which nobody taught until your heretic Martin Luther taught it. And that's to rescue this ridiculous idea that the payment is paid by the person paying off another person. So you think that the Father is paid off by damning the Son?
But the Father is paid off. I don't know if I would say paid off, but like satisfied.
So you don't
in a
believe in
sense.
penal substitutionary atonement and the paying of the infinite debt?
Okay, yeah, okay, fine. Yes, I would say that he did pay him off.
Okay, so there's payment between the Father and the Son, and this is still Trinitarian. Who pays the Spirit?
Who pays the Spirit? What do you mean?
There things that happen in the Trinity that are just between two persons and not between three?
No, I guess not.
Okay, so who paid the Holy Spirit?
Who paid the Holy Spirit? Well, I guess wouldn't
So this
the
is why
payment be
PSA
between-
is blasphemous and insane. So you want to
Well,
move on?
wouldn't the payment be between all of them because they're all slighted?
Oh, so they're all paying
the
each other.
Trinity.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
No, the Son pays the debt for
To
the
who?
whole being of God.
To who?
To the Father in like a direct sense, but the whole being of God slighted.
Oh, so there's a
by
debt to
man's
the being
infinite
of
sin.
God. Jesus pays
Yes.
the debt to the being. Can you name anybody that taught this before Luther?
No, I'm not going to name
Right,
anybody who
because
taught
nobody
this
taught it,
it's-
because you believe in a stupid heresy. That's
well,
why.
I would say Paul taught it.
Oh, where did Paul teach that Jesus paid a debt to the being of God?
Probably Romans 5.
Okay. I got Romans 5 here. Can you explain where in Romans 5 there's anything like that?
All right. This is a long chapter, so let me look through it real quick.
So you're not familiar with basic Christian Trinitarian theology. You didn't know what perichoresis was, but you're going to tell me that Jesus is damned by the Father and the Spirit indwell him, but they're not damned.
Well, yeah, I'm going to say what my church teaches. I'm not going to
What is your
abandon what my
church?
church teaches.
What is your church?
The Wisconsin Evangelical Lutheran Synod.
Okay.
I mean, like, just because I'm not like fully knowledgeable.
So what?
it
No,
is
you
not,
don't know
like, a
anything. So
reason
where
to
in
abandon
Romans 5 is the paying of damnation debt to the being of God?
I'm trying to find the second Adam verse, but I'm reading it point by point, which is not.
How does second Adam teach you that Jesus paid a damnation debt to the being of God.
All right. So since I'm not finding it right now, I'm just going to
'Cause it
paraphrase it.
doesn't
But it says
exist.
by one man entered sin, and then through one man we're all forgiven. Is my paraphrase of that verse?
What is it? Where does that say that Jesus paid a damnation debt to the being of God?
Because he reconciled us through his
None of that
punishment.
says anything about paying a damnation debt to the being of God. That doesn't even make sense.
Okay. Consequently, just as one trespass resulted in condemnation for all people, so also one righteous act resulted in justification and life for all people. For just as through the disobedience of one man, that many were made sinners, so also the obedience of the one man.
Yeah, where does
And
that say
many were made-
where does
be
that
made
say that
righteous.
the divine person of the Son went to hell?
Okay, so last time you got upset when I asked this question, but
I'm not upset. Your
Okay.
statements are just insanely heretical, and you don't even realize what you're saying.
All right, but this is kind of this is important to discussion. You don't think that Jesus descended into hell? Because I think
No, I believe what the
in my
church taught, that descent into Hades is where he went. You believe that he was damned by the Father. You're a blasphemer. I believe that he went to Hades to preach the gospel, as Peter said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he was sent there by the Father.
Yeah. No, he went to Hades because he went there to destroy the power of death. He was not damned by the Father, you anti-Trinitarian heretic.
Is that that's Christus Victor, right? Or that's what that's called, right?
Yeah, that's not the doctrine that he was damned by the Father. He went to Hades willingly, not because he was damned. You can't split the Trinity.
Yes, he went willing. Christ's will. Was
You just said
submitted
the
to.
Father damned him. You said the Father turned his will against the Son, thus it's not willingly.
But the Son goes willingly.
Then why would the Father turn his will against the Son?
No,
You literally just said that.
All right, and if somebody asked you to do something that you didn't want to do, but you wanted to do it for them, in some sense, your will is against that, but in another way, you are also
Okay,
for that.
So you have no idea what you're talking about. So this is the people that talk smack all day long at me on Twitter, and then when they come, they have no idea what they're talking about. Yep.
Yo, hey Jay, how's it going?
Mm-hmm.
Quick question. A few quick questions. So I'm a raised Roman Catholic. Been going to an Orthodox church for about a year, but I got some questions. Just want to do my due diligence on Catholicism just before I make any big decisions for some personal reasons. But
Okay.
the biggest thing that I'm kind of struggling with right now, just because in talking to a lot of Catholics, the energies kind of comes up as a thing that I think about a lot, or the theophanies, just in terms of understanding the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that it's been said that like the Thomism is the official philosophy of the Catholic Church. Is that still true, or was that in I can't really find a document on that. Do you know?
Yeah,
you
it's
know where
Leo
that
the
comes from?
13th encyclical. It's a famous encyclical, Eterni Patris.
Okay.
But it doesn't. No, they don't really care. So most of the Roman Catholics in the Vatican and the academic world, many of them might appreciate Thomas Aquinas, but they don't really care about medieval Thomistic stuff anymore. They're largely modernists. They don't care about that.
Yeah. So because I was looking at the Catechism and I was trying to see what it said about the theophanies, and it didn't really give a clear answer of whether it was a created effect or whether it was Christ.
Yeah, I mean, but they've already dogmatized that there's no uncreated energies and that grace itself is created. So of necessity, they will all tell you, as Tim Gordon says in the debate, that it's a creature.
Mm-hmm. Is that, and then that comes from Trent, right? The doctrine of created grace, or is that somewhere else?
It's in several places, but Trent is one of the places.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Yeah, the official doctrine of Thomism as the official philosophy is Eterni Patris of Leo the 13th. And I forget what year this was, 1800s or something. 1879, Eterni Patris. Now, it's not infallible, so, I don't guess it really matters. Right? In other words, in Roman Catholicism, it's just another type of Protestantism. where you pick and choose what type of Roman Catholicism you want it to be. You want Pachamama with rainbow flags? You got it. You want to pretend that you're a medieval crusader wearing Templar gear? You got it. It's whatever you want it to be, man. Brantley, what's up? Shout out to Biagio, became a member. What's up, man?
Hey, Jay. I am curious to hear your opinion about the authority of the Septuagint. I come from a Protestant background, so my family didn't even know that it was a Schofield Bible. So, why is it that the Orthodox have kept that tradition in their Bible and it's been completely lost through Catholicism and Protestantism? Because I just recently gotten into it, reading the Septuagint, and there's pretty remarkable discrepancies. Especially,
yeah, well, the early church fathers believed that it was a better, more reliable text of the Old Testament, like Justin Martyr and Irenaeus discussed this, because they would argue that what's called the Masoretic or the Proto-Masoretic text, that it would have been interpreted and retranslated, so to speak, to tone down anything that would refer to Christ. So that's there's a book by there's a book called Rebooting the Bible on this that's about the history of the Septuagint and why it's in the Orthodox Church. It's a good book on this. But the other reason is that most of the time when the apostles are citing the Old Testament in their epistles, they're almost always citing the Septuagint.
And so when they're not, which is less than 10%, what are they citing?
Well, Matthew, for example, because his audience is Jewish, is going to cite he cites what we call what's the Proto-Masoretic text. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just encourage anybody listening who's just getting into this to pay attention to it, because I think for me personally, the most striking removal is the final line of Job. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember that one. What's that one?
The final line of Job in Septuagint is, and so it is written that he will rise up again among the rest that the Lord chooses. I mean, it's basically like a resurrection body imagery. It was totally striking to me, and that's the final verse that would be removed.
I didn't even know that the Masoretic text had a different ending there. That's interesting.
It's just happy and full of days. That's it. Yeah, that's all I was wondering. Appreciate it.
I'm looking at the Masoret, or the last verse I see is, his friends that came to him were Eliphaz, Esau, the king of Temanites, Bildad, Zophar, etc. So, what verse is this?
Okay, maybe it's.
Is it 7? Oh, it's verse 17. It's 18, maybe. When Job died, he was old and full of days. It is written, he will rise with those whom the Lord resurrects. Okay, I see.
Exactly.
Verse 18. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that's pretty striking imagery to not survive, and the MT post dates the Septuagint by almost 1,000 years, 1,000+ years.
I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if we know exactly what the date of the Masoretic is, but it's it's post Christ.
Yeah.
So the book that that you would probably want to get a hold of, which is good, is this book here called Rebooting the Bible by Doug Woodward. But great point there. Corey, what's up?
What's up, Jay? Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Hey, dude. So first of all, last time I called in, it was just really great, and I appreciate everything that you said to me. I really have kind of ran with it. So I'm pretty much convinced. I'm a Presbyterian for those listening, but I'm convinced of the essence energies distinction, especially when it comes to Old Testament theophanies. It really only makes sense to me that there could be physical manifestations of God if it were his energies. But I'm thinking in the New Testament context, when it comes to the transfiguration, how is it that Moses and Elijah are able to be shown in physical form if technically they're kind of dead in an intermediary state and Moses is buried somewhere? How does that work?
Well, I mean, people can appear in a form. You have, Samuel appearing in the Book of Kings to Saul. So the fact that a person is a spirit doesn't mean they can't appear.
Yeah, I guess it's just kind of hard for me to separate physical body from spirit, I guess. It's weird. I can't imagine like a spirit having eyes to see or witness or a mouth to talk. It's just I try and create a way in which it could be. I just want to know the way in which it does happen.
I mean, angels can appear.
Yeah, true.
So.
And I guess angels, depending on what your interpretation, they can physically interact with humans.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Hebrews says that people have entertained angels unaware. So yeah, of course they can physically interact. They do. They do throughout the Bible.
Okay. Yeah, I guess.
Well, I think that maybe a lot of times people have an assumption that somehow the word spirit or something being quote spiritual means that it's quote anti-physical, and that's not actually the biblical view. That's more of a Gnostic view.
Yeah. So you couldn't throw out the idea that perhaps whenever they were up on the mount, that it was kind of like a rift in time, and you were actually seeing them when they were currently alive, and Jesus is just kind of showing himself as the creator of the cosmos and time and everything else, or is actually happening in that moment years after they were dead and they were just spiritually manifesting.
They're not dead. They're alive to God, and they're worshiping and in the presence of Christ at all times.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
So just because we're severed from our body doesn't mean that we have no form. Exactly how that works, we don't know, but good question. H. Brazzi, Jay, you should pay all of our taxes because we're getting wage cut robbed. Well, taxes should just go away. What's up, dude? Are you there?
Yes, sir. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Hey, I got a quick question. You made a post about something a couple of weeks ago about Maximus the Confessor's 200 chapters of theology. Mm-hmm. I wanted us to understand what you were saying. I actually just bought the book, and so were you saying like the first 5 chapters what he was writing was that the ousia, the essence of God, is not actualized, but the energies are?
No, I didn't say the energies are. I said he says within the first 5 pages that we name God in 2 different ways. We name God in contrast to creatures, and in that sense, he could be called the first cause. But within the Trinity, in the intra-Trinitarian life, you can't call God or call the Father the first actualizer. So it's naming God in 2 different ways, in himself and in contrast to creatures, is what I said.
Okay, got you. Awesome. Well, it was what you said. It was pretty helpful.
Yeah, and so the reason that matters is that Roman Catholics will name God. They will collapse those 2 senses, and that's where you get things like filioque.
Awesome, yeah. When you had posted that, I just bought the book, and so I again much appreciate. When you say first 5 pages, you talking about just the actual pages or like just the chapters and like the numbering?
Well, when you read the first few pages of Maximus's actual writing, not the introduction by the scholar or whoever translated it, the actual writing of Maximus, the first 5 pages makes the argument that we name God in 2 different ways.
Right. Okay. I do remember reading that. Awesome. Well, much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Good question. Glad you got that book. That's good to hear. Bird, what's up, man? By the way, if you want to call in, you can call in here on X right here. What's up, Bird?
Hey. Appreciate what you do. I've been a Christian for about a year now. I live in a really rural area. There's no Orthodox churches near me. My wife and I ended up going to an Episcopal church that I would say is sort of more on the traditional side of that. But I wanted to get your take on going to a little O Orthodox Episcopal church, and I haven't really heard you talk about homosexuality and whether you can be in communion with openly gay or gay clergy.
What are you talking about? I just tweeted about it today. What do you mean? I've never no, you can't go to a openly gay Episcopal church, and no, of course not. Penguin, what's up? Totem pole, $69. I want to do a mega debate on the book of Genesis. Is it real history or is it metaphorical? This will sort sheep from the goats. Are you up for it? I mean, I don't see you in the chat, but call in.
Hi, Jay.
Yep.
I wanted to ask, I've been Protestant for majority of my life, and now I kind of started inquiring into the traditional faith. And but I'm from like a Catholic country, right? There's Catholic churches everywhere. And I'm attending a Catholic church. I'm not baptized though, but I'm getting into Orthodoxy as well. And I just wanted to kind of ask you, because the reason why I'm thinking about Orthodoxy is, all the scandals in the Catholic Church with like the Pride Parade and stuff. But I'm just not sure, right? I'm not sure. And I don't want to convert. I don't want to become Orthodox just because of like political reasons.
Sure.
So I'm just kind of in this like, in between stage, and I'm not sure where to go, And because I like a lot of things about Catholicism. I like the churches. I like the history and all that stuff. But yeah, so.
Well, I mean, is there a specific issue that you want to discuss, or I mean, I would say, yeah, I would actually encourage you to take your time. What?
Some advice. Like what would you do in my situation?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think Orthodoxy is true, so I'm going to tell you to continue to pursue that. But, there might be some challenges if you're in like, Brazil or something. I don't know where you are, but
I'm from Slovakia, but I'm in Czech Republic right now.
Oh, I think you can in most European countries you can find a good Orthodox church. So it might have to go a little ways or something, but again, yeah, I would just keep seeking it, keep praying about it, and visit an Orthodox church. That's the number one thing. Don't treat it as something purely intellectual, but go and actually check out an Orthodox church and spend some time there. See which one vibes with you. Gage, what's up? Where's the guy that wants to debate? Totem, where you at? Gage, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Jay? So I'm an ex-Catholic. I've been going to Divine Liturgy at an Antiochian parish here in Texas on and off for the past year. I'm pretty convinced of Orthodoxy by now, and I'm ready to start going more consistently and become a catechumen. I'm looking at the handouts for the catechumenate classes. I'm looking at one about Mary in particular. Mm-hmm. And I'm a little anxious about some of the language in it, and I was hoping you could explain it to me.
I have a talk on all the Mary stuff, so rather than, I'm not trying to be rude, but rather than like rehearsing the whole thing that we've done many times, you can watch my Mary video.
Okay. Do you discuss the idea of Mary as mediatrix?
No, but I mean, I'm not aware. I'm familiar with that in Catholic theology. Is that I've never heard that in the Orthodox liturgy.
Yeah, that's the section here that I'm looking at that makes me a little, anxious. It just sounds very Catholic to me, like very Medjugorje, garb and all kind of thing. And I was wondering if that's just like Catholic Mariology kind of sneaking into Orthodoxy kind of through the back door, or is that a term that Orthodoxy has in its tradition but maybe has a different meaning?
I've never heard. I mean, it could be just, I don't know what the printout is or where he's pulling from, but I've never heard an Orthodox person use this terminology. I've only heard it in Roman Catholic circles. I think it's an odd, ambiguous term, so I wouldn't use it. But I also wouldn't, I wouldn't make that like a reason not to become Orthodox, because there's always going to be in your catechesis some, imperfections. You're going to get people that are not perfect in their theology. So I wouldn't make that alone an issue, but are you sure it's the term mediatrix?
Yeah, it discusses, different ways of referring to Mary, Theotokos, ever virgin. One of them says mediatrix and queen of heaven. And it has a collection of quotes, mostly from, I see one from Losky, a couple from Gregory Palamas.
Yeah, I've just not seen a quote about mediatrix, so I don't know about that. But Yeah, I wouldn't. I would just say watch my Mary video, and the rest of the terms I think are no big deal. I would have some hesitations about mediatrix, but Willie, what's up? Willie, you want to unmute?
Yeah, hey, so I hope you can hear me clearly. I'm outside right now. But I'm an Orthodox, but I have a objection, I would say, or a confusion rather in the essence-energy distinction. So our nous, or our ability to reason, is dependent on our enlightened nous, correct? Or is that incorrect?
No, the heart is not the reasoning faculty.
Oh, right. Well, then my entire objection just pretty much falls away. So then you will say then that it is all grounded in the logos, right? Our ability to reason, or?
Our ability to reason is part of our human nature. It's a faculty that we have that is part of what it is to be human. So dogs do not have the faculty of reasoning to the degree that humans have it. So when we say that Christ has human nature, his human nature is body, mind, soul, will, and soul is a rational soul according to the church fathers. So reasoning as a faculty is a property or a trait of human nature.
All right, clear. Thank you then. That was all.
Okay.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, good questions. Jason, what's up?
Hey, Jay, can you hear me? So I had I guess a couple questions. I'll just start out with this one, and we'll see where we go from there. I was just curious, because I know in Orthodox Church, every bishop is equal. How does Orthodoxy justify the unresolved schism over Ukraine and Constantinople? Who decides? Like, how do they figure out which synod is right? Basically, is that kind of
Right. So as Orthodox, we believe that in time these kinds of disputes get resolved. For example, there was a recent schism in, I think it was Macedonia, that had happened for a century, and it was resolved through synodal church government. The same way that in most of church history, schisms have been solved, not through a single autocratic papacy, but through time and through synods. So time is what we would appeal to in terms of vindication. And in your own situation in the Catholic Church, this is actually how it happened in the first 1,000 years for the most part.
All righty, awesome. Thank you very much.
Aaron, what's up?
Hello. Hey, Jay, what's up?
What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I just got two quick questions. So basically, I'm starting to look into Orthodoxy, and I was on the phone with somebody the other day, and they were basically trying to dissuade me from going Eastern Orthodox. And he said something about Eastern Orthodox started in like 600 or 700 AD. Do you know anything about that?
I mean, it's really, really dumb. I mean, I don't like, you know, I mean, we can read all the people before 600, so I don't like, I think you need smarter friends, but no, I've never heard this argument. It's a funny one.
All right. And one more question.
I would say just go read people like St. Athanasius, read the Cappadocians, read, you know, John Chrysostom. I mean, those are people before the year 600.
Okay. All right. One more quick question. How should I respond to someone who doesn't care what the church fathers say because they could all be wrong?
Well, could they be wrong about the Bible? Because they're the ones that decided what books go into the Bible. So that's a double-edged sword that they probably don't want to accept that, but they'd have to be consistent. So just hit them with the canon, dog. Venkatesh. Venkatesh, you want to unmute? What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
So yeah, I was inquiring about the Christian faith, and basically I have a question about the divinity of Christ.
Okay.
So what qualifies Christ as divine for you? I mean, is it the resurrection or is it the miracles he performed? What is exactly the thing?
He's the eternally begotten Son of the Father from all eternity.
Like, how can you determine it from his human life? That's my question.
No, I don't argue that he's divine because he has a human nature. I argue that he's divine because he's revealed as the eternally begotten Son of God in John 1.
But it is the account of John, right? How did John know about Jesus Christ's divinity?
How did he know about it? It was spent years with him as a disciple.
Yeah. So what made him think that Christ was divine?
Because he knew him in person, and another way to see this is that he fulfills dozens and dozens of prophecies from the Old Testament.
So, like, being born in Bethlehem and...
there's dozens and dozens of them. Most of the Psalms are all prophecies of Christ. Half of the book of Isaiah's chapters are about Christ and prophecies about him.
Yeah, but the main thing I was having questions and confusions about was even any person could be performing the miracles.
That's why I said it's not just miracles. I never made the argument that miracles are the proof of his divinity. They're an evidence and an attestation to it, but other prophets and other holy men have done miracles. So that's why the proof has to be all of those specific prophecies. Look up the messianic prophecies and see that there's not just 2 or 3, there's many of them. Ann, what's up? Yeah, I mean, most of the book of Isaiah is like prophecies of Christ. Ann, what's up? Unmute.
Oh, hello.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Jay, I had a question. Not much of a debate here, but I'm having some problems here
I thought
with my mom.
Are you Ann? Are you a male or a female?
Oh, I'm a male. I'm just a fan of Ann Coulter.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Gotcha. Go ahead.
Okay, well, personally, I'm having some problems here at my local parish, as well as at home with my parents. I guess I'll start with my mom first. She's a very, very heavy Protestant person right now. And every time she sees my icons or anything, she starts to get mad at me and starts to tell me all these weird, different things. And I was wondering what advice you can give me to help me with that.
Okay. Well, don't argue with your parents. Just try to love them and be sweet to them, because you're never going to argue your parents into a position. Guys, we're taking calls today if you disagree. So it's not private advice day. I'm not mad at that guy. I'm just saying, like, that's not what we're doing today. We're not doing practical wisdom day. It's if you're Catholic, Muslim, Protestant, Mormon, Anglican, or anything else and you disagree, that's what we're doing today. Paul, what's up?
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say, like, I identify with I'm an inquirer for Orthodoxy. I would agree with probably 90% of the theology and stuff, like the filioque and the iconography, but I feel like this is an objection I've heard from some Protestants that, like, if you go into one of the true churches, you're still using your own interpretation every day to grant yourself to be in that church. Isn't it kind of like the same thing with Protestants?
No, it's different because it's the means that are different. Everybody's going to be interpreting the text as an individual directly, yes. But the difference between you and a Protestant, or between us and a Protestant or a Roman Catholic, is that we have different means. We use the Holy Spirit guiding us through Scripture, tradition, councils, church fathers, etc. Protestants, it's the Scriptures and the Holy Spirit. For Papists, it's the Pope's teachings and the Holy Spirit. So at the end of the day, everybody's in the same boat. Where we differ, where we disagree, is the means, and that's why we have to look to history to see, well, what were the means that were used in the first 1,000 years? Did everybody just default to the Pope? Did everybody read their own private Bible scrolls? Or did they go to the local Orthodox Catholic Church? So, guys, today I'm looking for people to disagree, so it's not the day for basic inquiry questions. What's up, man?
Oh, my bad.
What's up?
I kind of just had to start off with, I'm a catechumen. I've been going to an Orthodox church for about a year. And I've watched a good amount of your stuff, and I would say that I've learned a decent bit. I came from an evangelical background, so there was definitely a lot of baggage I had to shut off. And something like granted, like I said, I go to an Orthodox church. I submit to the teaching. It's just kind of something that I may need more clarification on, is just like the whole, like certain Protestant apologists online, like Dr. Gavin Ortlund and stuff like that, they'll dispute what is it, the story of the Dormition of the Theotokos, because like they'll bring up things, well, if this is such a huge big thing, why was it like never mentioned before said year after?
Just apply the same argument to the canon of Scripture. If sola scriptura is the foundation of the church as they believe, then why wasn't there a fixed canon of Scripture from day one? Why didn't Jesus fix the canon? So just take their double standard and apply it to them. Corbin, what's up?
Hello. Hi, Jay.
Hey.
I don't have an argument per se, but I'm not Orthodox. I'm not Catholic or anything. I just noticed this interesting difference between the beliefs. The Last Supper, you have in Orthodoxy, they have leavened bread, they have risen live bread, and then for Catholicism, they have those fucking wafers that have the stamp on them, right? And they put it up to the sun with the monstrance. It's like a eclipse, but it's a fucking wafer instead of the moon. You know what I'm saying? Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's supposed to be directly anything to do with worshiping the sun, but I think that they, the Jesuits were big promoters of the idea in the Counter-Reformation of Eucharistic adoration, which I think as Orthodox we really see as nonsensical, because outside of the context of the liturgy and the communal celebration, it really doesn't make sense to have this separate devotional service where we all just come and worship the host. It just doesn't make sense. But the motivations that the Jesuits had to do that was to combat Protestantism in the period of the Counter-Reformation. Caleb. It's not a fish hat. What's up, man?
Hi, I just wanted to make a quick comment on the whole thing that's been happening with like cleave to antiquity.
Sure.
I noticed something that you had brought up before in a video, that a lot of these like online Protestant dudes will like try to act like they're so pious and so holy and so nice, like so much nicer than you, but once something like this happens, they were touting this guy as like the biggest like Protestant apologist out there. Yeah. And then now that he's like going through this process, it's like all this slander, like I'm never talking to non-denoms ever again. I'm never having anyone on my channel that's not like educated, like all this like nasty stuff. And it really exposes like a lot of their true character.
Yeah, it's I appreciate that you noticed that, and it's good to hear that he's made this move towards orthodoxy, and I hope he continues and he comes into the church, and I think it takes a lot to admit that you're wrong, and that you're going to get a lot of this heat, you're going to get a lot of hate, a lot of flack. I was looking for that video, but it's not popping up. I meant to put.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
But like, guys like Redeemed Zoomer, who's like obviously very young and whatnot. I even noticed he took down his original video about Cleave to Antiquity and is like very upset about him. And it's
Really?
not uniquely him. Like a lot of them are all doing this, right? Where it's just like we'll like sort of idolize this guy and like prop him up when we need him, but now all of a sudden he's like, oh, he smelled his way into orthodoxy, or he's just like,
Right.
he's some uneducated non-denom, you know.
Yeah, well, he was fine, a month ago, and now he's the worst thing ever, right? So yeah. Good point, Caleb. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, I think it does show kind of the hollow nature of the criticism of, Dyer's just mean, when now they're all extremely mean because they're one of their heroes has converted. But Templar, $5. Jay, I have a Greek church and an OCA church. I visited both. I like the priests. What do you recommend? I mean, you guys can make your own decisions, man. Like, I can't tell you what your local parishes are like. So you're going to have to choose, which one you think is a better, spiritual fit, spiritual father person for you, if that's where you find your spiritual father. No one, $2. When do we get a Mormonism video? I mean, Jim Bob and I did a 3 or 4 hour Mormon live stream. I mean, how many times do we have to cover the same stuff? Like, I don't like if you still find Mormonism convincing after that Joseph Smith wrote himself into the Bible, there's not much I can do to help you. Like, I can't really help you. Is this the guy who called in earlier? You want to call in again? Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, Jay. First off, yeah, I don't think I represented myself too well last time. I was kind of nervous the first time I ever did any of these things. I listened back. You mentioned like the distinction there is rational soul. Is that correct? Like that's what determines, I guess.
I mean, it's one of the characteristics of what makes up human nature. So for us, human nature would be derived from our Christology, the way that the Bible and the councils teach that Christ had a fully human nature, meaning he possesses a fully human body, mind, soul, and will.
Okay.
So every human being has a body, mind, soul, and will, whether they're a 98-year-old person about to die, a 50-year-old track star in peak, 40-year-old track star in post-peak, position physically, or a baby that's 2 years old that's not yet exercising those a baby that's 2 months old, I should say. They have those qualities which make them what they are, even if they are not yet actualized or if they are in decline, because those are inherent qualities that make that nature what it is. So we believe in natures, and natures are defined by the things that make them what they are, not another thing. So those things are essential to human nature. Those things are not found in animals. Animals have natures, but they do not have human nature. So it's a metaphysical category.
Okay, but would you agree that there is a biological aspect to that, just because, like you said, animals do not have it? So there is some sort of like biology.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, the bodily aspect is a biological aspect, sure.
Okay, and so like, what do you know Evola at all? I don't.
Yes, I've read Ebola.
And like, what is your refutation of like his idea that like biology? I guess maybe I'm extrapolating and not representing him well, but what I took from it was material and spiritual can't be separated completely, and I don't even know if the Christians...
Yeah, I don't believe they're totally separated. I mean, man is intended to be a whole. He's intended to be body and soul, and that's why for us, death is a bad thing. It's unnatural because it's the severing of the soul from the body. So I would agree with the phrase of Evola that you can't separate spirit and matter, but that doesn't mean that they're identical.
Yeah, of course. So then, is it fair to say that your material manifestation on this plane had like there's some connotation with your spiritual quality as well? Is that like, because I believe that's what Evola said.
Yeah, again, I don't think we can have a reductionist view where we identify man with biology or reduce him to biology, but in many cases, yes, even negative traits can manifest physically. For example, a person who has a severe, addiction to food and they're overweight, right? You have an inner vice, a spiritual problem that is in that case manifesting physically, and somebody is significantly overweight.
Absolutely. But couldn't that also be pushed to priors? Like, couldn't, and
To
I'm
what?
not saying
To what?
to priors, so like before birth or before manifestation, like say, like couldn't it be argued, and I'm not arguing this, I'm just asking a question, like someone born in a good situation versus someone born in a very bad situation, like couldn't it be argued that maybe that person that was given the good situation has some sort of spiritual quality that the one born in the bad situation doesn't?
Like karma or something?
I guess, yeah, that would be, I don't want to use that.
Well, I mean,
but
we believe that God has within his infinite wisdom, knowledge of all divine providential situations, but we don't believe in the pre-existence of souls. So like, no, it wasn't from some previous life that person was placed into a Aborigine tribe or something.
No, that's, yeah, I think my last thing would be, I guess that kind of approaches it, which is, what is the justification for like no hierarchy among quote unquote human rational souls? Like why on the other plane in Christian, and correct me if I'm wrong, in Christian, the Christian framework, everyone's equal?
So I never said that. I said multiple times to you that people can be equal in one way and unequal in other ways. Just like members of a family can be equal in the sense that they are all humans and share the nature that they have, but that nature can manifest in different ways and in different talents, different gifts. In the same way that dogs are all dogs. Some of them are tiny, some of them are massive. There's different breeds. You could use the analogy to human beings.
Yeah, I mean like on the spiritual plane. Like, is there obviously there's a hierarchy between
well, I think that some civilizations and people groups have accepted the truth and then thus express a higher kind of civilization and ethos than others. So, for example, the Spanish, and I'm going to use them as an example because I'm not Roman Catholic, but I think that the Spanish brought a much better spiritual reality to the Aztecs, who were sacrificing human beings every day. So that was a higher, better civilizational culture that was brought to replace a demonic, disgusting, degenerate culture. And so that was a step up.
Absolutely. But like, if an Aztec and whatever other higher civilization in this context, their souls, their human rational souls are weighed the same.
Well,
correct?
we don't equate that to the soul, right? Because everybody has a soul, but the distinction here has to do with grace. And so in this regard, it's not only biology. There are biological differences between people groups, obviously, but I also think that there's an influence and an effect that is, quote, spiritual, that I'm not equating to the soul. The spiritual here is the influence of God and the Holy Spirit and the church.
Okay. So then it just begs the question, like, what's the justification? Is it right to say that the soul, if we could move to the soul now, that a human rational soul is equal across all biological manifestations? That's correct, right?
Well, it's equal in that everybody possesses it, but in the same degree, but it's uniquely utilized by the individual persons that have it, or you could argue to the different societies or tribes or groups. So everybody has a soul, but you might have a culture or society that's more prone to certain vices or certain traits, and that might have a biological component, it might have a spiritual component, it might have a soul component, you could say. So for example, I don't know, let's say there's some tribe in Africa that like is addicted to worshiping some deity that requires human sacrifice, and the human sacrifice then causes the people to have Kuru disease, right? Because you can't eat human meat and not get sick if you do this for a long time. And so you get a degenerative effect on, say, this tribe as an example over many centuries. I would say in that case, you're getting a combination of demonic, diet, biology, all playing into it.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, and correct me if I'm asking the same question. Like, if we move to the spiritual realm, like the kingdom of heaven, every human being is basically, they're measured by the weight of their sins, of course. But like in the kernel of the valuation, everyone is equal. Is that a fair statement?
In the sense of everybody being sinners, yes, but not everybody is the same equality of sinner, no. And in the resurrection, Paul says there will be varying degrees of blessedness based on, recapitulating the virtues and living the life of grace. So not everybody in heaven is equal, no.
Okay, so the soul is like mutable based on your actions within the material plane.
Yeah, I would say the soul's like a tool. Like the soul is, your inner, the inner man, the inner mind, the life of the mind, etc., which can be a tool of the virtues or a tool of the vices. And so if you make it a conduit of vices, you're misusing your soul and deforming it.
Okay, I appreciate that. The only thing that I really get stumped on is the human rational soul, which I guess I got to read up on, just because there is, I got to think about that more. But thanks for your time, man.
Sure. Yeah, I apologize for getting impatient earlier. Barefoot, what's up? Narissa, $50. I 100% agree. Your metaphysical traits can absolutely be manifested. If you're always negative, your life will be crap. Yeah, I mean, without, adopting wholesale, like the whole, what's that stupid Oprah book? The Secret. Like, I'm not going full Oprah here, but if you are constantly negative and constantly, that would just be manifesting a vice, a vice of envy or a vice of anger or hatred or whatever. Like, you will consistently draw that type of a vibe or energy to you. What's up, man? No, it's not New Age. That's just a basic fact, right? Like, if you are like to like, if you're wicked, you're going to draw more wicked people to you. What's up, man? Brandon, you want to mute? Or Barefoot, excuse me.
Hi, Jay.
Hey.
Hey, I don't know if this is a little bit off topic, but how do you feel about Brother Nathaniel?
I think he's an insane person.
I would like to challenge you to reconsider that notion.
Because he literally said like a couple of months ago that Orthodoxy doesn't teach theosis. So this is, for a person that's supposed to be an Orthodox monk for 20 years, that's pretty insane.
Oh, okay, I'll tell you what, I would call him out on that. But
no, why am I supposed to rethink and reassess and have some kind of debate with a person who just constantly calls me out for the stupidest shit? And it's just if you don't have the discernment to see a person that's mentally unstable, like what, I can't help you, man.
So I'm not asking you to, debate him again or anything. I just
why would I want to associate with mentally insane people?
I'm not saying you should associate with him either. I just don't think
you just said to rethink it.
To rethink your label as writing him off as insane.
Okay, if you can't discern an insane person, then I can't help you, and you might be insane.
I might be too. I don't know, but
yeah.
The reason is I've actually met him in person and been getting to know him, and he's a little intense. He yet has a touch, an edge of insanity, but he's actually very.
Well, there you go. Thank you. So yeah, I'm good. I'm all good. You can have all the fun you want with him. Pavel, what's up? You notice he admitted that when he met him, he's kind of crazy. So thank you. Exactly. What's up, Pavel? I'm not taking catechemic questions. What's up? Regenerate. Here we go. Regenerate, you want to unmute? Hello? Unmute. I thought we had a Protestant dad who was going to come and talk to me, but he won't unmute. Do y'all not know how to unmute? I mean, like, you want to try again? What's up, man? The one guy that was just waiting for like the last 30 minutes, I was about to go to him, and then he why would you drop off? He dropped off right before I was. You've been waiting all this time, dude, and then you dropped off. What the heck? Methodist, what's up?
Hello.
Yep.
Hey, so I just had some questions about kind of the differences between Orthodox and Catholic theology, but more so different arguments that you've made against the Catholic theology. I'm not Catholic. I've just watched some of your videos, and I'm interested about what you would say against my argument against your argument. Typically, you make the argument against they don't know whether it's a seed that turns into a tree or if their dogma was there from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did the patriarchates, that was a development, right?
The what?
The patriarchates. The
Patriarchates?
Yeah.
Was it a development? It's a canonical development within the canons. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I was just wondering if that can develop, then why would the papacy not be able to develop?
Papacy?
Yes.
So do you understand what the argument was that I made? Because you just did a tu quoque, and it's not even equivalent arguments.
Okay.
Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying or no?
Okay. So you're saying that I'm basically accidentally misrepresenting the thing, being a little hypocritical?
No. What is the argument that you think that I made?
That since it has developed and it was not there from the beginning of time, and that they have an inconsistency with whether or not they even know in and of themselves whether or not it was there from the beginning of time.
No, that wasn't the argument. I said there's two conflicting claims. On the one hand, the claim is that the teachings of Vatican I were always there from the very beginning, as Leo XIII says. That's a contradiction with the claim that it wasn't always there from the beginning, and it was a seed doctrine that developed. That's the argument.
Okay, so they're saying that it was not always there, not that it was always there, and they did.
They're saying two different things.
Okay. And just one more thing about icons. I was just kind of confused about different things that we're talking about icons.
Okay.
In terms of the prayer going over the icon and it goes to the host, that's correct in terms of the saints?
It goes over the icon to the host?
Or it goes, it goes over the icon and it goes to
it passes from the type to the prototype, not to the host. That's Roman Catholic language here.
Okay. Well,
go ahead.
So typically you make the argument of where they bow down and worship the ark, like just so that I'm not actually misrepresenting anything.
They don't worship the ark. They revere it.
Right. Would it not be different since the presence of God is on the ark?
Well, the presence of God is in the liturgy and in the icons.
Right. So the connection is God. It's not the saints. Then that's what you're saying. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, the saints are the deified members of Christ's body, so they're living relics.
Right. I was just confused as to how since they're not omnipresent and God is, how everyone having the same icon all around the world.
Right. So if you read if you read Revelation 5 through 9, and I have a whole video on this, the saints are in the church, in the liturgy, alive, worshiping with us. But thank you for your questions. Regenerate, what's up? Unmute. Did you turn your mic permissions on, dog? Come back out, come back in, man. You got to turn your mic permissions on. What's up, Meta Logician?
Hey there, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically, I was raised Orthodox Christian, but now I will be arguing for atheism, I guess.
No, I'm not doing tag today. It's specifically not listed that I'm doing tag, so. Dowlette, what's up? Do I need to block somebody in the chat? Who do I need to block? This weirdo. All right, he's gone. Just spamming nonsense. What's up, man? Guys, we're looking for people to disagree. I'm not doing atheist tag stuff today. Catholicism, Islam, Protestantism, Mormonism, Anglicanism, Gnosticism, all on the table. Don't ask me your FAQ, catechumen questions. Maddie, what's up?
Hello, dude. You're right. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, bro. I just wanted to quickly ask. It's a little bit, I guess, tags onto geopolitics. I've been listening to your sort of Fabian Society stuff for the past few weeks, which has been fascinating. I wanted to know whether or not you've had a gander at, in the Tiny Mustache Man book, he references another book, the Protocols of Elder Zion. I don't know if there's just some crazy conspiracy theory or anything like that. I just wonder if there's anything to that, if you've had a look into that, any authenticity, if you've made any videos about that.
I knew I read it 20 years ago. I'm familiar with it. I'm not sure what to say. Trey, what's up? There could be an inner conspiracy. It could be a fraudulent document. What's up?
Jay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I called in I'm a Presbyterian calling about Sola Scriptura.
Okay.
Are you familiar, or do you read the book Robinson Crusoe?
Yeah.
Okay. So on the one hand, I understand, like, I have a crazy feminist aunt who teaches out of her living room, and I get why that's a problem. But on the other hand, you have, like, the Crusoean thing where he comes across the Bible on the island and then teaches to Friday the scripture. And I'm just wondering what's the protocol for Sola Scriptura as far as that situation. Like, if you came upon a tribe and you had a Bible and maybe you weren't ever, a leader of a church or anything,
Well, I think God meets people where they're at, but why would an exception to the norm somehow be a proof of Sola Scriptura? I think that's kind of ridiculous.
I understand that. But you wouldn't disagree that they could find, so I think I got your answer.
Yeah, I mean, there are, odd anomalies and exceptions to the rule. I mean, maybe a pirate picks up a pirate Bible and he starts reading it on the island of Tortuga, and, he starts to believe in Christ right as, the Captain Barbossa stabs him with a sword, and then perhaps he repented at the point of death, and, God accepts him because God met him where he was. I mean, that's entirely possible, but how would I get from that to, well then, bro, Sola Scriptura, man, clearly. That's some proof right there. JR, what's up?
You must be believing in Sola Scriptura. You're in one.
John, we can't hear you. You're muffled. What's up?
Can you hear me now?
Sort of. You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the fellow who was asking about the protocols, he should read Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future.
Does he talk about that? I forgot.
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
I won't get up into it. But also for any Protestants who are in the audience, and specifically speaking to the caller, was that the Fabian Socialist influence on Protestantism, particularly in the 20th century, is magnanimous. Like all of the original Fabian Socialists all come from Protestant backgrounds and were instrumental in inserting the Fabian Socialist ideology into modern day Protestantism.
Except for Chesterton. I believe Chesterton was a member of the Fabian Society.
Yeah, that is true. He later became a Catholic. But yeah, like Beatrice Webb, and even I think Annie Besant, before she was an occultist, she was some sort of Protestantism. But there's a document from 2005 that was put out by the Fabian Society, and it's particularly talking about ecumenism in the realm of, like,
I can barely hear you, John. You're cutting out. There's a 2005 document. What?
There's a 2005 document by the Fabian Society. Look it up. That's particularly talking about ecumenism being beneficial to world government.
Oh, wow. No, that sounds really, really interesting. Do you know, let's see, what it might be called?
I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I'm sure if you look up Fabian Socialist document 2005 Protestantism.
Okay, nothing comes up for ecumenism. Let's try Protestantism. In 2005, the Fabians recommended ending the preferential status of the Church of England, arguing that it was unfair and it didn't promote Islam. That doesn't sound like it.
I'll find it.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt that it exists. I just want to read that.
But a lot of Protestants, and being raised one myself, is you don't ever think that, like, the way Protestantism is framed in mass culture is that it's very rigid. And even within your own, like, perception of what you think of as, when you're Protestant,
mm-hmm.
you might even think of yourself as pretty rigid. Like, as far as, like, oh, yes, I'm a fundamentalist or I'm a traditionalist.
Mm-hmm.
But the religion itself is not even based off of that per se. It's all like any of the later offshoots, like especially in the 20th century, it's more focused about spreading Christianity out, but like the Christianity it's spreading is adaptable to any situation. And I don't think Protestants actually cognate it in that way.
Flesh that out more. What you mean? They don't think about the malleability of evangelical Protestantism?
Exactly. Yeah. Like they themselves are thinking it's very rigid and very fundamental. But it's not.
Yeah. It's very able to adjust to the times, and thus it's much easier to be used, I think, by power elites. Is that maybe what we...
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what the Fabians recognized in it.
I gotcha. And
were able to, manipulate it in that way. That's the point I was making.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, this comes up in the David Wimhoff book, that he says that the Rockefellers realized that it was much easier to influence Protestant and evangelical churches towards accepting, contraception and birth control, abortion, all those things, than it was to get the Vatican on board. So they talked about how, like, all it took with the Protestant world was like, we'll build a $1 million building over there, but you're gonna let the Rockefeller approved, seminary head be the new professor, right? So that's how it worked. It's very easy. Even mainline Protestants recognize this. In fact, J. Gresham Machen wrote a whole book. I remember reading this back when I was a Calvinist. I think it's called What is Liberalism, but he didn't mention, the Rockefellers by name, but he kind of figured out that, like, how did the PCUSA, the Presbyterian Church in America, like, how did they just flip liberal so quick? And the obvious answer is, well, big money comes in and says, start pushing Skittles and you're going to get a $10 million facility built. John, anything else?
Oh, no, you can go on the next call.
Yeah, now remember Rachel wrote a good article too, some years back on her Substack about this same principle where you get basically the push of the Skittles stuff in all the churches, including the Orthodox Church, through the networks of NGOs, think tanks, white papers, foundations, think tanks, whatever. Here it is. How big foundation money is subverting traditional Christianity. And this, just lays it all out in no uncertain terms. No one, $2. When do we get another? No, wait. He asked about Mormons. No one, $5. I think Mormons need to see that there are differences between the early church and what they believe. There's nothing to stand on. Yeah, but really, I think the way that's going to have to work is like a Mormon's just going to have to go and do some of the reading. If a Mormon is not going to read some of the church fathers, they're not going to listen to me and Jim Bob talk about the church fathers for 3 hours. So, CS $20 puts I guess there's all these new emojis now. So this is some sort of corgi samurai emoji, and I like it. I appreciate that. That's very cool. Guys, also, if you want to support, you can do so through Bitcoin. Of course, this is my Bitcoin support wallet address right there. Jan Vandershoot, $5. I'm on lunch at work. Thank you for doing this. Here's a $5 holla. Thank you so much. Totem Pole, I don't understand that you weren't saying you wanted to debate. You're saying you want me to debate Protestants and Catholics on the book of Genesis. I don't know if anybody's really wanting to do that. I'm sure there's some Protestant or Catholic who wants to debate it, but to be honest with you, man, like I'm kind of tired of finding and trying to find the Roman Catholics that want it. I'm over it, man. For me, Tim Gordon was kind of the last one. We're at the point where it's like, if you still want to be a Roman Catholic, go do it, dude. Go be gay, and I'm good. So I just don't see much more point in trying to reason with people. I feel like the Tim Gordon debate was the last thing I had to say on that topic. Now, Roman Catholics can always call in. It's always open for them. But I'm not going to go out hunting another high-profile Roman Catholic because I just don't who even is there. And I'm not talking about, you won't debate so-and-so with 2,000 followers because you're scared. I'm talking about anybody. No, there's no incentive to debate a person with 2,000 followers. You're correct. It's not because I'm scared. It's just another waste of my time, and it's giving some goober a bunch of traction that I don't want to give traction to. So, you won't debate Leather Daddy Albrecht. We tried for years to set up debates with Albrecht. Ubi tried to set up debates. All he does is play phone tag gay games with you. He's never going to actually do a debate. It's not hard to set up a debate. We do it all the time. Scam Shamu, never going to do a debate. Plus, he's an insane person, so what's the point of trying to debate? You can't debate insane people. Well, why won't you talk to Brother Nathaniel? Because he's an insane person. Well, so? What do you mean, well, so? Dude, why are you even here, man? If you want to go be with insane people, go do it, dude. Nobody's making you be here. I'm over it. Okay? I am over it, honey. I talked to Ubi the other day, and he said that, debating on the internet theology these days, it's not like it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, it was very academic. It was a lot of nerds. It was a lot of quotes, a lot of references of books. And nowadays, debating Roman Catholics is debating screeching 16-year-olds. It's just not, because there's nobody else really that would be compelled to adopt that religion other than screeching teenagers. And I feel bad for Tim. I like Tim. Get along with him on a personal level really well. Like his family. Great family. His wife's really cool. But, I mean, we were DMing the other day, and it's just like nothing that I said or argued in the debate has registered. So it's like, this is what it was like with Ibarra 10 years ago, where you would have these long conversations. You would think you're making headway in terms of, you know, I just want this person to understand what I'm arguing. And you think you've made headway, and then the next day, you never had that conversation. It's back to like repeating the Roman. They're like mynah birds, right? Roman Catholics are like the mynah birds that just sort of chirp the same phrases, and it's almost like the Oprah shit, but with Roman Catholics, right? Like the Roman Catholics think that if they just say this stuff, it'll manifest. If I just say that there's not a bunch of gay stuff with Pope Leo in the Vatican, it'll just manifest. Yo, dog, I'm about to manifest a beige trad church. If I just gibber and repeat it on repeat, it'll just go away. Oh, I forgot to mention here, we gotta have our, I mean,
now say they feel
if this doesn't like show you what the wrong and the right church is, like there's no point in debating anymore. I mean, we're dealing with people that are like fully in delusion. Like, I'm done. They're like, my job is done. My job's complete.
that they have been participating in vigils, talks, and masses or
And there's really not any reason even to interact with most of these people anyway. I'm not talking about Tim. I'm talking about whoever would even be. Like, Trent Horn. Trent is terrible. Like he's not I don't mean personally. I don't know Trent personally. I was saying, like, as an apologist, he's garbage, dude.
Rome in these days,
Matt Fradd. I mean, who else is there?
including one.
They're processing the rainbow cross into the Vatican. And this was done with Leo's approval and permission. So, what are you talking about? Oh, it doesn't count. The Pope didn't do it from the chair. It doesn't count. It never counts. It's never from the chair. Never counts. There's never a contradiction because it's a cult. So, yeah, I know Matt Fradd's not even an apologist, but like who else is there to debate? By the way, there was one guy that was friends with Tim Gordon, supposedly a professor, but he had like 5 followers, and he was like, I will debate you on history of the papacy. Well, I thought he meant he'll debate my challenge of the geopolitics of the papacy in the 20th century. No, he meant debate me on medieval papal I'm like, I'm not going to debate you on medieval papal documents. I want to debate you on the 20th century explanation for the actions of the papacy. And it was some guy. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just some dude with 5 followers. I'm like, come on, man. Do they don't have anybody who can actually just defend a simple challenge? My challenge is that geopolitical explanations are a better explanation for the actions of the papacy in the last couple centuries than the supposed claim of Petrine infallible charism. That's my challenge. I want a Roman Catholic apologist. This is the last Roman Catholic debate I'll do, because there none of them are left that are any good. Tim was the last one. Some Roman Catholic, if they will stand up and debate the geopolitical CIA Mossad angle, let's do it. But I guarantee you, none of them will. I've been waiting for 2.5 years for that specific challenge. And I've asked them all. I've emailed professors. I've DM'd multiple Catholic academics. I've asked Tim, tell all of your professor friends, academic friends, I want to debate this topic. Well, is there any Roman Catholic that will even touch the geopolitical side of this stuff? Not one. Not one of them will. What about the EP? Do we talk about that all the time? I share Father John Whiteford's stuff all the time, calling out the EP. You won't talk about it in your church. Yes, we do. What are you talking about? Motoko?
Hey Jay, how's it going, man?
Hey.
Hey, what's going on? I just wanted to know if I could flush an argument by you in regards to Roman Catholicism.
Hold on one second. Yeah. To the guy asking the question, what about Michael Knowles? Why won't you debate Michael Knowles? Guys, Michael Knowles deferred to Tim Gordon. Tim Gordon is the backup guy that Michael Knowles looks to. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, especially in regards to Roman Catholicism and some of the arguments, especially for low information Catholics, in terms of them always pointing to the keys in the Bible. I've heard your argumentation on, the keys are defined as, like preaching the gospel, universal binding, and the sacraments. And I think there's one more. So
it's jurisdiction, preaching the gospel, celebration of the sacraments, etc.
Exactly. And then you said that if this was given to all the rest of the apostles later on in Matthew 18:18, then what does Peter have that they don't?
Mm-hmm.
But I was wondering the fact that I still don't see why we grant them that when I don't see how the keys are geographically tied to Rome, because the Bible doesn't mention anything about Rome. And from my understanding is that the martyrdom should not allow the keys to just be placed solely in Rome.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah, because Vatican I states that it's not based on Paul and Peter.
It's based on Peter dying in Rome. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been thinking that this was a strong argument. I just wanted to make sure because you have more of the history than I do, but I just don't see how they can tie the keys directly to Rome, especially when you also mentioned that.
Right. No, the keys are, I agree with you. The keys are stated to be, I think, given to Peter honorifically first because he says the confession of the deed of Christ first.
Exactly. 3 times.
But there's nothing specific to Rome about the keys, especially given that Rome admits that there's 3 Petrine sees.
Exactly.
So there's no reason why that charism of infallibility is somehow exclusive to Rome. And in fact, to your point, if you were going to try to argue that there was some special charism of infallibility unique to Rome, it seems like it would include Peter and Paul.
Exactly.
And the Vatican explicitly says, no, it has nothing to do with Paul.
Exactly. It literally denies it. So I've been using this recently, and I just think it's really good for low information Catholics because it stops us from getting into all the councils and all these different things
Right.
with Honorius and all that kind of stuff that people just don't have the time to tie to.
Right.
And they always run back to, well, he got the keys. That's special.
Mm-hmm.
But if we hit them with both that it's not special because all the apostles get it, but yet you can't even tie it to Rome, then it just defeats the whole argument. It's just like an ultimate presupposition to me.
I think you're right. I think that is a better approach because the whole thing is resting on that assumption that there's something unique about the city of Rome. And then when you really press Roman Catholics on it, it really just defaults back into, well, that's a tradition.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, from what? Where?
From the papacy.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, great points there, Motoko Satoshi. I appreciate that. Really good points. He's right. Sometimes it's difficult to remember in the heat of the discussion, to go back to, the basics and the assumptions like that, because you get all sort of off in the weeds. Well, what about Honorius and this and that? Let's read this real quick before we go to SBM, because this is, of course, the weekly scandal. The scandal of the week is Leo's interview about gay stuff. Okay, so I was a little surprised to see Lofton deviating from his Pope-splaining a little bit, because he's still a Pope-splainer, but he's even seeming to say, he put up a video saying something like, I'm trying to remember how Lofton worded it. Something like, be prepared, there might be a change about the Skittles in Rome. So let's see what Leo actually said in this interview. This is a translation, so who knows if this is it. If you point this out, the Roman Catholics, oh, it's mistranslated, he didn't say that. What I'm trying to say is that Francis said very clearly when he said todos, 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 everyone is invited into the church. I don't invite a person in because they are not of a specific identity. So he's admitting that gay is an identity, which it's not, but that's already a problem right there. I invite a person in because they are a son or daughter of God. Well, you're not actually a son or daughter of God just by existing or being a human being. You have to be baptized to be a son or daughter of God. So again, more ambiguity here as to what he's referring to. You are all welcome. Not all people are welcome. That's not actually true. You cannot be a vicious, unrepentant person and still welcomed in the church. You must at least be repenting. Let's get to know each other and respect each other. Okay, but it's not about acceptance and respect. It's about virtue and vice, good and evil. So notice there's nothing about good and evil. It's all about tolerance and acceptance. At some point, when specific questions will come up, and he's talking, this is all in the context of Skittles, people want the church doctrine to change. They want attitudes to change. I think we have to change attitudes before we can think about changing what the church says about any given question. Now, wait a minute. The church doesn't change in its morals. So even the possibility which is being entertained here is itself proof. What more evidence do you Roman Catholics need? Oh, well, there is no evidence, right? Because notice, disproving evidentialism. The issue isn't even evidences. So that notice when people, everybody says cope, everything is cope. The more you see people talking about and using and repeating mindlessly the phrase cope, it evidences the point that we make that evidentialism is false. If evidentialism were true, people wouldn't vehemently double down, triple down, quadruple down in the face of mountains of counter evidence. And yet, that is exactly what they do. So the guy that called me a cult leader today, who, by the way, wouldn't show up to debate, shocker, in the face of mountains of evidence, can't acknowledge that there's a problem at the top of his church. He says, attitudes must change before we can think about changing what the church says. That doesn't even make sense. Attitudes have nothing to do with church doctrine, and church doctrine doesn't change. So, remember the delusion of all the trad cats acting like this guy was going to be somehow a based in trad? Like, what? Again, it's like they don't even realize that the religion is already solidified in the Vatican II documents and a long time ago. Now, Miles here in the chat says, let me read the rest of Leo's quote. He says, I find it unlikely, highly unlikely, at least in the near future, that the church's doctrine in terms of sexuality could change. In other words, it's possible to change. It's just unlikely in the near future. What? Regenerate, yes, I will allow you back. Regenerate Sam, you would like to come back, he says, for $5. He had a connection issue. Yeah, I'll bring you right back up. Now, I did miss this. So Mr. Feast says, you missed this part, Jay. Let's read what this says. This is the same interview. Earlier this year, there was a discussion, or there was a jubilee for permanent deacons. So all men but their wives were present. I had the catechesis one day with a fairly large group of English-speaking permanent deacons. The English language is one of the groups where they are better represented because there's parts of the world that are never really promoted the permanent diaconate. Itself became a question. Why would we talk about ordaining women to the diaconate if the diaconate itself is not yet properly understood and developed and promoted in the church? And what are the reasons for that? So while I think there was a significant inspiration at the time of the council when the permanent diaconate was reinstated, it has not become in many parts of the world what I think some people thought it would be. So there are some questions that have to be asked around that issue. So in other words, it's an open question still. Can we change the gay stuff? Can we have women deacons, which is the step before women priests? Open questions. They're not open questions, by the way. So SBM, what's up?
ASBM, sorry. Hey, Jay, thanks for having me. I wanted to ask about Trinity. I heard you a couple of times talk about the difference in the West and the East. I'm a Protestant. I would like to understand why, when I converse with some of the Roman Catholics, they say that the East has a faulty or wrong view of Trinity, and you say the otherwise. I kind of like that. Not that I'm making the decision on my understanding, but I see the biblical basis for the monarchical Trinitarianism. Could you help me to understand briefly what's at stake, especially given the
what's at stake is the loss of beginning your Trinitarian theology with the person of the Father, which leads to essentialism, putting the essence before the persons, which leads to a dyad and the filioque, which then leads to the removal of the doctrine of the energies and uncreated grace. That's what's at stake. Right there. Bridge, what's up? Regenerate Sam, call back in. Where you at?
Hello, Jay. How are you?
Good. What's up?
So, Jay, excuse me for my English language. I'm not a native, so I'm torn up between Catholicism and Orthodoxy. I'm currently a Catholic, but I mean, I'm torn up with the way that scholastics use philosophy in terms of epistemic justification, and they cannot handle David Hume very well, and even cut in philosophy. And I'm torn up with Orthodoxy because of the Catholic claims of papacy, the historical claims of in the ecumenical councils, and that's.
Well, hold on. What are you talking about? Where is Vatican I papacy in the ecumenical councils?
No, I mean the first ecumenical council and the sixth ecumenical council, and how the scholastics render their philosophy with Hume, and I feel like scholastics, as a Catholic myself, forgot about the last 500 years of philosophy in terms of Hume and Kant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, probably of the natural theology. Can Catholicism reconcile with modern philosophy? I mean.
No, Catholicism did reconcile with modern philosophy, and that's why it is what it is. It is process philosophy.
And how about their natural theology? Because
that's what led to where it is. That's precisely the false roots and foundations that led them to accept. Gaudium et Spes teaches Marxism. I mean, again. Like everything that I've been detailing in the last few weeks, just think of the last couple months, guys, for the Roman Catholics, how bad it's been. We had the debacle of Trent Doherty and all these goobers defending that Muslims and Christians are worshiping the same God. And then Michael Lofton comes to the rescue with the Vatican documents pointing out that Muslims can be saved in Islam, according to the Vatican teaching. He's correct. That is the Vatican teaching. And then we get, like, there's a scandal every week. I can't even keep up with it. What was the next one? The next one was Doherty crashing out and teaming up with Skittles people, like we said. Then it was what was the next one? I've already lost track of all of this. It's like every week they make a hubbub and we get rewarded by the papacy, right? We get our staking rewards from trusting in and staking our arguments on the papacy. And we get weekly staking rewards. After what was the Voice of Reason was the next scandal. Thank you. VOR, Voice of Sleason. I would like to kiss your plump booty. By the way, probably I have a problem. Sorry. Please accept me back into being a public minister, just like Jimmy Swaggart. I'm the Latin lover, like Jimmy Swaggart. So then we got, after Voice of Reason, what was next? Was it gay papacy? The gay papal stuff? I've already forgotten. Anyway, it's like every week, dude. And if it's not an argument that the papacy is false because there's bad people. This is every low-tier Roman Catholic thinks that that's the argument. You got bad people in the Orthodox Church. Yes, that's not the argument. Nobody ever made that argument. That's the dumbest argument ever. The argument is that you have a system-level contradiction that doesn't allow for you to fix Vatican II, to reform Vatican II, to fix the papacy. You can't do any of that with an ironclad, already set in stone system. That's the argument. Just like that guy that called in earlier. I'm not trying to be mean, but he didn't even understand the argument. He thought I was arguing that we have development of doctrine and they don't. That's not what I argued. Tim Gordon's bad debate performance. That was the next one. Exactly. I feel like I'm missing one, though. And then we had the gay procession. So it's just like Catholic loss after Catholic loss after Catholic loss after Catholic loss each week. And then their response is Jay Dyer's a cult leader. That's all they have. When they're at that point, like, all they have is to just talk about how bad I am. Morgan. Oh, then they're mad that Cleve's Antiquity is becoming Orthodox and not Roman Catholic. What's up, man?
Hello there, Jay. How are you doing, my friend? So I've basically got a question about it's about Mary. I'm an ex-Protestant, obviously coming out of that, and got an Orthodox prayer book, and I do understand. Obviously, I used to argue a lot about with people online sometimes, and they talk about the difference.
Right. So I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm not specifically. Okay. So I'm not taking catechumen inquirer questions. We had the Mary topic come up earlier. I have a talk on Mary from the Bible. You can watch that video on the veneration of Saint Mary on my channel. But we're looking for people who disagree today or have questions where they would take issue. What's up, man? Regenerate Sam, where are you at?
Jay.
Yes.
Jay, you're here? Sorry again. So I wanted to check with you, ask about the ecumenical council in the Orthodox perspective. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm approaching in this. Like the Nicaea one had the emperor, bishops, and vote in. And then over time, doctrine of Pentarchy. I'm struggling with understand the sort of, when it comes to the Union Council, how is that Mark of Ephesus? How do you reconcile this? A Mark of Ephesus was able to go against the...
Watch the talk that we did on this, me and David Erhan, 6 years ago. So I have a whole talk on this from 6 years ago. So guys, most of your questions like that, those kind of inquirer FAQ questions, I'm not mad at you. I understand. We all have those issues, right? We all get hung up. What about this? What about that? Most of these we have addressed, many times over. So guys, if you're in the chat, we got a lot of weirdos in the YouTube chat over here. All you weirdos saying all this weird stuff. Why don't you call in? There's the link right there. Paul, what's up, man?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, I was just wondering, why there's such a large emphasis on not rejecting icon veneration and just icons in general, to the point where it's clearly seen as a primary function of the church. And where's the biblical basis of that come from? And do we see that type of importance in the early church?
Right. So we do, because it's tied directly to the notion of the incarnation and the real presence in the Eucharist that God can unite with and has united with and has utilized created material means to give us grace. So they become means of grace, including the bodies of the righteous men. So the relics that we see in the book of Acts, that we see with the bones of Elijah, those are all examples of this, as well as in Joshua 7, when they all prostrate before the temple and the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark and the inside of the temple were very ornate and full of iconographic imagery. Early synagogues in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd century, the Dura Europa synagogue, for example, are covered in imagery all over the walls. So it is a Jewish principle, a Hebrew principle that the church adopted when it adopted iconography.
Okay. So would you say that they're essential?
Yes.
You would say they're essential. And then one more question. How would you, or like, what would the Orthodox response be to, like, I guess the good things that we see from Western Christendom, like the universities and different philosophical innovations and the evangelization? Like, what would the Orthodox position on that be? I would assume it's
First of all, hold on. Universities come out of Byzantium. Philosophical, what do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just talking about, like, I guess that the good fruits that have come from Western ways of theology, philosophy, and innovation.
I wouldn't attribute that to papism. I would say that it's in spite of papism. I would say that, a Protestant person could invent a machine, a iPhone, calculus comes out of, people like Leibniz, who's Lutheranish. I mean, does that make Lutheranism true? I mean, it's just has nothing to do with proving that the religion is true. You can have a Buddhist that invents some amazing invention. That doesn't make Buddhism true.
All right, thanks, Jay.
Yep. And I'm sure that, like I said, rather than having Aztec human sacrifices, Spanish Catholicism is a step up from that. Well, that doesn't make Spanish Catholicism free from heresies. In fact, Spanish Catholicism was always prone to and struggled with Arianism. That's where you get filioque as a response to trying to refute Spanish Arian tendencies. Volturo, $10. Catholics are officially the Christian Muslims. That's correct. I mean, they say we worship the same God as Islam. And they tout this and are proud of this. Why are we surprised that they and the Orientals act just like Muslims? They deny that they want to militarize the same way Islam does. Well, historically they have, though. So, the Pope is the one that first called for having standing armies to defend papism in the Renaissance papacy. And if you didn't fight for the Pope, he would excommunicate you. Volturu, $10. Did Pope Gregory write a letter to the Patriarch given the additional title of universal or ecumenical, restates that this title does not give him total authority in the church? It's a famous back and forth between, I think it was John, the Patriarch of Constantinople, and the usage of the term universal or ecumenical patriarch. And Gregory says he doesn't like the title because it gives the impression that the person with that title is the super bishop and all the other bishops in the world are priests underneath him, which is exactly the papal model of the church. Regenerate Sam, $5. Jay, apologies, my mic didn't come through. Would you allow me back on? Yes. I don't know where you are, but you're welcome to call in. So anybody who disagrees today, if you're a Roman Catholic, if you're a Muslim, a Protestant, a Mormon, an Anglican, an evangelical, a Gnostic, the only thing that we're not doing today is tag atheist type stuff. We're not doing that today. So if you disagree on any of these other topics, I think there was something I was going to hit on in terms of recent. JR says, how would you approach a Protestant who feels that the very, very late instrument of online Orthodox work is too late? With the exception of early missions, it doesn't meet the zeal of Catholicism and Protestantism. I don't understand why this is a good argument. Trying to measure zeal of evangelism to try to prove the true church, I just think this is a silly attempt at trying to figure out the true church. By the way, Ubi has, I think, 3-part documentary on the history of Orthodox missions. Listy.
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm trying to understand like the what's it called? Like I want to know what philosophy, right? like, what philosophy do you think would be the best to study to understand the Orthodox perspective?
I don't really think philosophy is necessary for orthodoxy, but I think that if you did want to study philosophy, I would get Yaroslav Pelikan's book on the philosophy of the Cappadocians. That would probably be the best thing. The book is called...
yeah, let me write that down.
It's called Christianity and Classical Culture, The Metamorphosis of Natural Theology in the Christian Encounter with Hellenism by Yaroslav Pelikan. That will give you a overview of the philosophy of the Cappadocians. You could also, study the basics of Aristotle, basics of Plato, basics of Neoplatonism. All of those would help kind of give context to a lot of the terminology that the church fathers use when they hammer out, Trinitarian and Christological stuff. But I wouldn't worry about studying philosophy to become Orthodox, because Orthodoxy is not a philosophy. It's a way of life. It's a church. It's not an ideology. CK, $10. Black Hebrew Israelites think that Jewish means sort of, kind of Jewish. Yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the best examples of like a grammar, word concept, linguistic mistake that leads to an entire heresy. That one's really funny though. Richard Lyon became a member. Volturu, $5. How will Catholics defend Pope Leo permitting a pride parade into the Vatican? I thought he was infallible. They'll just say he made a moral mistake, and infallibility doesn't include impeccability. However, infallibility actually is supposed to cover moral teachings of the papacy. So how they would they're going to say it doesn't count. We excuse this one. He's a bad pope. Ain Schultz, what's up? And then when you point out the dogmatic contradictions, that one doesn't count either because that wasn't actually dogma. So it's a unfalsifiable moving the goalpost based system, which should tell you right away that it's a very weak system. Unmute.
Hey there, test.
Yeah.
All right. Can I ask a question about the transcendental argument?
No, I said multiple times that I wasn't talking about tag today, so you may not. But thank you for calling. Regenerate Sam, $5. No, we already did that. By the way, one of the major tag critics, I think, turned out that was constantly going after FDA. I think it turned out he was a TRANZ. I'm not 100% positive, but I think that's what somebody was saying, which I just thought was funny. So it's like I'm supposed to take serious, all these obscure philosophical arguments from somebody the equivalent of Matt Dillamonkey's lover. At a certain point, it's like the weird thing about the internet is that it makes people think that you can completely divorce everything. It's all abstracted, right? Like at the end of the day, it's true that arguments aren't proven or disproven by the people, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, but why do I even have to listen to or entertain or point by point refute an insane person? And people think, the internet gives the impression that no, you have to publicly refute and debate every single insane person, or else, you're scared. Right. So if I don't debate a trans atheist and refute every one of his arguments, then I guess Matt Dillahunty wins, right? He was right all along. Matt Dillamonkey won all along because I don't debate I'm trying to think of ways. I mean, this is we're in such a weird world, man. why won't you interact with an insane person? That's like the guy that called in about Brother Nap. I always think of him as Brother Nappy. It's Nathaniel Kapner, but I think of it as Brother Nap because he has nappy hair, and I'm like, why am I supposed to entertain and work with? And it's like all of these people, by the way, act insane. Like most of the media people that are out here yapping literally act like insane people, and they have giant insane people followings. It's kind of weird. And why won't you interact with and refute and work? It's like, do you not have discernment? How do you not have discernment? And that goes for a lot of the talking heads. First of all, I want in a talking head yapper person that I'm going to listen to know that they're straight. I'm not interested in hearing the opinions of Skittles men or Skittles internet yappers. And yet for masses of people, they don't care. No, actually, I should care what Milo or any of the other internet yapping heads say. No, why should I care? Oh, it's because you're scared of talking about the Jews. Yeah, no. So what's more important is not, is this individual sane? Are they straight? The only thing that matters is, do they talk about Jews every single day? That's the only thing that matters. Correct. No. Oh no, we were here when Jay Dyer went full Don Imus. Well, Don Imus was making fun of black WNBA girls. So why don't you take the sons of Belial seriously? Yeah, like, I mean, think of all the years that people were saying, why won't you debate Destiny? You need to debate Destiny. You need to be interacting with Destiny. And I realized back in the days of Warski that Destiny was a worthless person. He was wicked. He was disgusting. And he didn't debate in good faith. So there was never any point in debating Destiny. I told Tristan I wouldn't waste my time debating that guy. And it ended up being a disaster, not because Tristan was bad, but because Tristan thought that he would go into a debate with Destiny that would be good faith. And I'm like, he's not going to debate you in good faith. He's a completely disgusting person. I said he was disgusting in 2017-18. Nobody listened until now. Can you believe it? Destiny is disgusting. Yeah, the guy who talked about eating another dude's JIZZ after a threesome, you just now figured out that he's disgusting, you idiot. And why did you not have discernment that this person was completely, obviously a meth disgusting demon? What's wrong with Milo? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, enjoy your talking heads. Enjoy your yapping talking head goobers. Please go on. Go enjoy them. Your people are dumb. You guys are dumb. I feel sorry for you guys that you had no discernment. Why did you have no discernment? It's weird to me. You need to debate. You need to interact with Destiny. Do you know how many people told me this since 2018? And I'm like, why? You need to work with and talk to Brother Nathaniel. No, I don't. Like, if you see instances of insanity, you should be able to make an assessment that this is not a person that I need to follow. Right? But I don't, like, people can't figure this out. I don't understand. So I say, good luck, good sir. We part ways, good sir. Good luck to you. Doigel, $5. Jay, what do you think about Tucker as a bagel asset? I don't think Tucker's a bagel asset. Why would he make contact with Father Josiah to interview an Orthodox person? I mean, you would think that, like, if I was telling you about Zionism in 2008, if I was telling you about these problems in the Orthodox Church with the State Department, the CIA in 2007 and 8, if I was telling you about Fabian socialist open borders stuff 15 years ago, like, you would think people might think maybe I know a few things. Maybe I've got a little bit of discernment. I mean, I've had a pretty good track record of not tying myself to and associating with people who ended up imploding and being basically psycho-feds. I'm not toxified by being closely aligned with anybody that's a bad look. But no, none of that matters. All that matters is who is the best rage baiter on Twitter. And why won't you talk to so-and-so or debate with so-and-so or work with so-and-so or interact with so-and-so? Because I have discernment. That's why. Because I know and can see who's worth talking to and who's not worth talking to. And I have a good track record of picking and being able to discern. I'm not always right. I've gotten a few people wrong. I associated with a couple minor figures that ended up being weirdos, mainly from the Orthodox world in the last 8 years. But for the most part, thank you for your recommendations. I'm good. Do you know about Timothy Alberino? I don't. Orthodox should rest from the internet. I quit and it healed my brain. I do think that it's very beneficial to take internet breaks. Jamie, for example, has been taking a Twitter break, and she has been healing. So. I don't count going on somebody's podcast as, oh, you associate with Ethan Ralph, you're a bad person. I don't think that Alex is a bad person. I mean, if I went on the Ralph Retort to debate people, that's not me working with Ralph. Like, now you guys are playing the, ooh, we gotcha. You went on somebody, some infamous person's podcast 8 years ago. Yeah, so what? Welcome, everybody. We are doing open forum still. If you want to call in, you can call in on Twitter. The link is right here. If we don't get any more call-ins, we might wrap it up. I do have a video that I want to show you guys really quick as we wait for more people to call in. And this is a video that we created I didn't create, my buddy created. And you'll get an idea. It's a really well done video. So shout out to Mark for this.
What is the relationship between reason and revelation, between philosophy and faith? For the Orthodox Church, the answer is clear. Christianity was not born in the lecture halls of Greek philosophers, but in the encounter with the living God. Yet the Church did not ignore philosophy. She baptized it using the language of reason to proclaim truths that reason alone could never reach. So, what is the Orthodox view of philosophy? What role does human reason play in the life of faith? Does Orthodoxy believe in natural theology? And what is the difference between knowledge about God and knowing Him? Join us for an unforgettable conference exploring these timeless questions and encounter the answer, not just in words, but in worship, in truth, in the experience of the Holy Trinity. Come and discover the true faith, the faith that established the universe.
That was an awesome ad there. Big Billy Boy, do you want to call in and discuss your dispensationalism? I know it was muted. I was coughing. I had shit in my throat, dude. Y'all don't have to freak out every time, dog. Sometimes I want to be muted. You ever think about that? Sometimes I just want to be muted. Sometimes I want to mute, talk a bunch of smack, so that, like a vagina, y'all don't call me out for it. And you don't know what I said. And I can just hide behind the keyboard as a keyboard warrior. Trey, what's up? I'm trying to get like y'all. I'm trying to learn to be like you guys, you cowardly keyboard warriors. Where I hide behind the mute button, talk a bunch of smack, and then y'all don't know what I said. Unmute, what's up? Hey, babe. Could you make me a coffee? Yeah, what's up? Thank you. What's up?
So I just wanted to follow up on that sola scriptura subject I brought up earlier.
What was your comment? I don't remember.
It was about the Robinson Crusoe thing.
Oh, yeah.
So the book is, I was just referring to that as a more intense version of like what America is. You could apply the same thing, like him meeting Friday, to basically all the Presbyterians coming to the United States, or not Presbyterians, but the Protestants. But I'm struggling to understand what the stance on the sola scriptura is. Is it like a net, or do you believe it's a net good, net bad, or it's just not preferable, or like I don't?
It's just simply false. I mean, the Bible doesn't teach sola scriptura.
Yes. So is it discussing the purpose of the Bible?
What?
So are you just saying the purpose of the Bible is not to go out and teach people? Like,
the Bible is a liturgical document. It's meant to be heard in the context of the liturgy. It's not your private devotional book.
Yes, but so I'm being led back into the faith by Protestantism, and I'm ultimately going to Orthodoxy in the end. So I'm just wondering, was it bad that, it's good to a certain point, right?
I mean, look, you're oversimplifying. There's nothing in the world that's usually totally good or totally bad. We don't make our decisions, though, on the basis of the fact that there's some good in some things. Therefore, it's all good, right? I mean, heresy can have 95% true and then one significant wrong. So the fact that there's degrees isn't applicable to the question of what's the apostolic faith, right? There's no such thing as, well, I'm 30% Orthodox. Oh, I'm 70% Orthodox. You got to have the whole thing. Proxy, what's up? And then we'll go to Gil Bells.
Hello.
Hey.
I have a Presbyterian friend, and he's really struggling with the icon veneration. Is there any statement by a church father before 350 AD that speaks about icons and icon veneration? I'm aware that Gregory of Nyssa mentioned that he had iconography in his church of Abraham and Isaac, but that's not sufficient enough for my friend.
Well, where is the Protestant canon of Scripture before 350?
I wouldn't know.
Right, so he has an unfair standard that his own position doesn't hold to. So he's asking you for something that he doesn't even hold to. In other words, we're supposed to believe that we only believe things that have explicit mention before the year for 350. Okay, but Protestants believe in all kinds of things like the Protestant canon of Scripture that are not mentioned before the year 350. So the assumption is that there must be a written reference to it he doesn't hold to that. There's other things that don't have explicit reference that we hold to. So, I mean, the book of Revelation isn't even accepted in most of the church by the year 300. So, like, I guess we got to throw out Revelation. Like, it's just an arbitrary point to pick. And also in church history, a lot of things don't get mentioned until there's a controversy about it. So the fact that it's not mentioned is just an argument from silence. Where is the doctrine of parachoresis mentioned prior to, Chalcedon or St. Maximus? Well, it's not. Oh, well, I guess it's not true because it's not mentioned prior to that. Well, there wasn't really a dispute about the nature of the indwelling until a certain time period when people questioned it. So it's just a silly expectation that Protestants themselves don't hold themselves to. Matt?
Hello?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Hold on one second, Jay. Sorry about that.
It's all right. What's up?
Apparently behind. Yeah, so just out of curiosity, I saw on your stream title that you were talking about libertarianism. That was one of the topics?
No. There is nothing about libertarianism, but I will debate libertarianism.
So I'm not sure that I really want to debate it, but I had an idea I just thought I would interject and get your opinion on. So one of the ideas I've heard about in libertarianism in the last few years is national divorce, and I am newly Orthodox. I'm still a catechumen.
Bro, are you calling me from? Are you calling me from the metallurgy factory? Or like, where are you at, dude?
Let me see if I can. I'm a truck driver, and so I'm working.
That's okay. That's all right. Go ahead and ask a question. We can barely hear you.
Is that?
Just ask the question, man. I can barely hear
Okay, sorry.
you. The chat says you're calling from a mine.
It just rattles a lot in here. I might just try another stream at some other time when it's a...
That's okay, yeah. I'll put libertarianism in the title next time, and then we'll talk about it, but that's okay. So, dude's calling me from the mining shaft down there at the base of the pyramid. He's trying to get some of that pyramid gold. I'm going to uproot that pyramid. I want the gold. I want to know where the gold at. Give me the gold. I want the gold. I want the gold. Give me the gold. I want to know where the gold at.
Well, just in time for St. Patrick's Day, crowds are coming by the dozens to get an up-close view at what some say is a piece of Irish folklore.
Some people in the Crichton area of Mobile say a leprechaun.
Woo! Leprechauns at what?
A leprechaun. NBC 15.
The leprechauns go woo woo.
Johnson has more.
Curiosity leads to large crowds in Mobile's Crichton community, many of you bringing binoculars, camcorders, even camera phones to take pictures.
To me, it look like a leprechaun.
Hold on a
I
minute,
gotta do look
man.
up in the tree. Who else?
Hold on a minute.
Say yeah.
Trying to find a leprechaun. You hold on your horses. Who else see the leprechaun say yeah?
Eyewitnesses say the leprechaun only comes out at night. If you shine a light in its
hold your
direction,
horses,
it
dog.
suddenly disappears. This amateur sketch resembles what many of you say the leprechaun looks like. Others find it hard to believe and have come up with their own theories and explanations for the image.
My theory is it's casting a shadow from the other limb.
Could be a crackhead.
Exactly.
Who got hold to the wrong stuff. And it told him to get up in a tree and play a leprechaun.
Play a leprechaun.
We're going to get down to the bottom of this. Yeah, still down there, guy. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, man.
This guy helping to direct traffic says he's prepared for his encounter with the leprechaun. He's suited up from head to toe.
This wars off spells right here. This is a special leprechaun flute, which has been passed down from thousands of years ago from my great-great-grandfather who was Irish. I just came to help out.
Others just came to get lucky in hopes a pot of gold may be buried under this tree.
This is the best guy right here.
I'm gonna run a backhoe and uproot that tree. I want to know where the gold at. I want the gold. Give me the gold. I want the gold.
I like that guy's tenacity. What's up, man?
Hello, Jay.
Hello.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really know much about you. You know, I started following you for like 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm a Muslim.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm a Muslim. I'm Muslim.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're a Muslim.
Oh, okay. But actually, I don't really know much about Orthodoxy. But is it true that Orthodox believe that Christ is Lord?
Yeah.
Oh, but how comes?
Say what?
I don't, like, how can a man,
Well, look, hey, I would say go check out some of the Muslim debates that we've done. I've debated all the top Muslims except for hijab. So I would just say go check out some of those debates and then come back. And if you got more questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Chingo, what's up? Bro, how come? I like that. That's a unique approach to debate. How come? I'm just going to start saying, okay, you believe, how come? Chinga, how come? How come?
How come fallacy?
Exactly. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to say that. Have a good one.
Mm-hmm. It's just getting weird now, dog. Corey, what's up? Your boy Corey. What's up, Corey?
Yo, what's up, Jay? Can you hear me this time?
Uh-huh.
All right. So my question for last time was about atheists who believe that Jesus and Paul didn't exist. They say that Tacitus, his writings were a medieval forgery, and then Josephus wasn't actually talking about Christians; they were talking about Christians. Well, that's Tacitus. But where would you say to go for information to disprove that?
I mean, it just sounds arbitrary. What's the evidence? What's the proof that Tacitus is a medieval commentator and not an ancient Roman commentator? I mean, that sounds like something they're just saying. And a lot of times atheists just say this stuff. So you need to ask for the proof, the evidence. Where's this coming from? Ant, what's up? Look, where is the gold? That's the question.
Give me the gold. I want to know where to go. I want to know where to go. Give me the gold. I want to know where to go. I want to know where to go.
I know where to go. That was right here. What's up, man?
Hey, Jay, am I coming through okay?
You are.
Cool. I would just want to get your opinion on 2 points. One is, I wish I had a good Cholo accent like you, but did you ever see that, it's a Syrian news clip from 2013 when Obama deported some, like, MS gang members to Syria, and they're, like, out there shooting AK-47s, like, we out here, homes, like, fighting.
No, it sounds funny, though.
No. Dude.
Do you know the title of it?
It should be Memory. It's like a memory, gang members, 2013 Syria. They're like all shaved. They're standing behind some brick walls, like just popping off.
In Syria, 30 miles northeast of Damascus, rejecting any alliance with Western-backed opposition.
Cholos?
To unify through a clear...
Wait, what does Cholos have to do with Syria?
Yeah, let me check. Dude, am I still on? Sorry,
yeah, you're here.
Switch tabs. Okay, no, Obama did those deportations.
Yeah.
Of those gangs, but recently I think Andy No reported on those trans militants training in Syria, and I think some of them were from the States, some of them were from France or Germany, I think. One point I was curious about your geopolitical background. What role does Syria have any role or connection to like training foreign militant groups? Or I mean, I understand it's a destabilized country, so it's kind of like open field over there. But I was kind of relating that to I know
there's a lot of talk about Israel's connection and the Kirk assassination, but I think it's bizarre how no one's talking about these deranged, sick transgenders that are like forming militias and constantly.
Well, we've been talking about that. What do you mean? I've been talking about that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just, I know you have, that's why I want to get your input, but when I go in the broader media, it's just this full wave of just pointing it at Israel, which I kind of suspect is like
a reaction.
Yeah, but it's also playing a suspiciously good cover for any future subversive, actions from Israel. It's kind of like a boy who cried wolf scenario.
Oh yeah, could be.
Yeah, but so I'm curious. Do you think does Syria historically play any role in training militias, or do we have any? Are there any Western governments that have influence in Syria?
I mean, I think that.
Syria?
Thank you. I think that you had with the Arab nationalist governments and movements that the U.S. and the CIA helped to install that were secular, which is what we had with Assad. That was then opposed by the CIA in Syria the CIA in Israel through Timber Sycamore, which was multiple billions of dollars of trying to arm and to fund the militant Muslims in Syria to overthrow Assad, which was eventually successful, and then you got Jolani. So yes, I would say that Syria does end up becoming eventually this radical Muslim sort of training ground, I'm sure, after the overthrow of Assad. Yes.
Oh, okay. I took notes of that. Thank you.
Look up. It's what you want to look at is Timber Sycamore, and we didn't know. I was reporting on this and writing about it at the time throughout 2014 on, but we didn't know the name of it until recently when it was declassified as Timber Sycamore.
Gotcha.
And that's the CIA once again arming, funding, training the radical Muslims to overthrow the Alawite Assad regime.
Okay, and I know you've talked about this many times, but just any general book reference that I could go into?
I've lectured through Miles Copeland's book on Game of Nations. He was the CIA consultant to both Syria and to Egypt. I've lectured through Secret Affairs by Mark Curtis, which covers this. I've lectured through Max Blumenthal's book, Management of Savagery, maybe 2 months ago, which covers this. Devil's Game by Robert Dreyfuss covers this. So yes, we have spent pretty significant amount of time, not faulting you or bitching at you, just saying, we've talked about it a lot. Caleb, what's up?
Hello?
Yeah.
So I'm visiting an Orthodox church Sunday and wanted to know which Bible to get.
Orthodox Study Bible is the best Bible. Great question. Appreciate that. Hypo. By the way, I found the video the guy's talking about. Let's watch it.
Fucking. We got the enemigos right there, homie.
Hey, homie.
Represent myself, homie. It's Creeper, homie, from the G-Dub-13 gang, homie. Son Valley gang, homie.
Homie.
Wine from Westside Armenian Power gang, homie. Still puro sureños putting it down, homie. In Middle East, homie, in Syria, still gang banging, not giving a fuck, homie. Look, homie, check this shit out. The puro sur 13, homie. Still gang banging this shit, homie. Got the G-Dub, homie. Go, Molly. Check out the enemigos right there, homie. They're all right there, dog. But we don't give a fuck, homie. As you know, homie, and shout out, homie, Capone, Mr. Criminal from Silver Lake, homie, Capone from Cyclones, and Crazy Loco from Pasadena, and Pink Lady. We still got love for you, girl. We still got love for all your homies, all the Sureños, all you vatos. Let's put this
They're over there trying to overthrow Assad, and they're like shouting out homies.
shit down to all these motherfuckers, homie. for all the Sureños, homie, not giving a homie. That's right. Gang banging, homie.
I've never
Post
seen
this
this
shit
clip.
up, homie. Tell the homies in fucking Middle East, homie, still gang banging, homie.
It's funny because back then, instead of bro, hey bro, bro, back then it was homie. Hey homie.
Putting that shit down for the big Sur 13 gang, homie.
Syria, homie. We're in Syria, homie.
Still G'd up con Piwanos 13 gang, homie.
Frontline, homie.
Puro
Frontline,
HD,
homie. Frontline. We don't give a fuck.
Bless no homie. Fuck them.
I like that they're just randomly walking over and shooting. Like, he didn't take time to stop and aim. They're just like shooting and saying homie. What's up, Hypo?
Hey, how's it going, man? Been listening to you for years on the Fourth Hour. It's a pleasure to finally talk to you.
Hey, straight up, homie. I don't give a fuck, homie.
All right, man. All right. Well, just a quick question about predictive programming, if you would.
All right. What's up?
So I had a quick question. So there are a lot of dystopian movies like, Hunger Games and Elysium where, the technocrats are the bad guys. And for predictive programming, you would think that you would want them as the good guys. So I was wondering, why is there so much rebellious spirit in a lot of their movies?
Well, I don't think for most people a movie is going to appeal to the audience if the bad guys win. I think that you're going to tell a story that's going to be appealing because most people's sensibilities, are still fairly normal and they want the good guys to win and the bad guys to lose. So, I think that's the most basic answer, but I also think there might be another level perhaps to where movies condition people to think that, it's just the bad apples in the system, right? Like the CIA, like there was that movie, The Recruit with Al Pacino and was it Ryan Felipe? Or no, Colin Farrell and Al Pacino. And that came out right after the Big 9 event or right around that time. And the CIA are the villains. And it's like, and the CIA consulted on that movie. Well, why would they consult on a movie where they're the villains? Well, if you watch the movie, it's not the entire CIA that's a problem or the organization. It's the bad apples that eventually get rooted out. So a lot of the storylines kind of, with the intelligence stuff or maybe even with dystopian stuff, like the storyline is that, don't give up on the whole thing. Like, we just got to get a few of these bad apples out, right? So it makes you still trust in the system. Think about Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, right? Like, America's getting corrupted, and we just, gosh darn it, need a good Jimmy Stewart to march in there and give them what for and tell the fat cats off. If Jimmy Stewart, you fat cats need to get things straight, right? If Jimmy Stewart can just tell the fat cats off, well, hey, the American system works, and, America, right?
There, it's funny just thinking of that. I was watching an old Harrison Ford movie where I think it was one of those Tom Clancy books, and the same thing. It was like he blew the whistle on, God, it was like a South American drug deal or something like that. And the ending was like, and then Harrison Ford goes to Washington and talks in front of Congress, and you're like, oh, that's the good ending. And you're like, in real life, you would get 86 pretty hard on that,
right?
But so you're saying basically just it kind of just to slowly normalize.
Well, I'm just speculating. I mean, there might be different motivations of different people making different movies, but a lot of blockbusters are pretty obvious propaganda. Let's see, last CIA. I know you were talking about dystopias, but I'm just thinking about like spy movies. Last one I watched was the recent Rami Malek one called The Amateur. And in that one, you have, of course, the immediate boss is the one that's corrupt. But the head of the CIA, who's a woman, basically like a Hillary type person, she's good. The white guy boss of Rami Malek underneath her is the bad guy. And Rami Malek's the lone hero who will go out and kill all of the assassins who took his wife or killed his wife, right? So it's like basically most of the narratives oftentimes still prop up the system, even if they admit or allow for corrupt people within the system, basically. But I'm just theorizing. I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe maybe it's less complex than that. Remember Jimmy Stewart? Like that. If you watch this movie now, it's pretty wild because you see that. And what year was this? 30s, 40s. I mean, this was in a period when they were doing a lot of Americanist propaganda in the black and white, Hollywood classic era. A lot of these films, by the way, they're way more moral and they're well made. If you go back and watch a lot of these, as Jamie and I have done in the last few years, but you can detect really overt propaganda, especially Allied propaganda messages as you get up into the late 30s and early 40s. Like almost all of them, pretty much come totally with Allied propaganda messages. But the funny thing about Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is just when you watch it, you're like, well, the point of the movie is that Americans need to understand and not give up on the American system. If we can just trust in the system, get the word out, go up there, give those fat cats what for, tell them how it needs to be. And if you remember, the way he actually ends up winning isn't the filibustering. It's that he recruits a bunch of Boy Scouts to print a magazine and get the word out. It's so naive that
it's fun. After centuries of fighting, and fighting for something better than just jungle, and so's he can stand on his own 2 feet, free and decent, like he was created, no matter what his race, color, or creed. That's what you see. There's no place out there for graft, or greed, or lies, or compromise with human liberties.
See, we just need a good moral man to get up there and give them what for. It's just kind of naive and silly, right? Mystical, what's up? What's up?
Can you hear?
Uh-huh.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yup.
All right, there we go. Why does it always do that weird delay?
I don't know.
Okay, hey, so I was just at we spoke before, and I went to the catechesis class today, and I was speaking with the priest about essence and energy.
Uh-huh.
Is this off topic? Sorry, I just
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm hoping you could philosophically or help me the philosophy of this. What I'm struggling with to understand is human nature, more so the substance. So we are not God's essence, obviously, because we're not uncreated. We are not the energies because that's what we participate in through things like communion, for example. And then we don't believe in the idea of like being divine ideas or being reflections of a perfect form. We also don't believe God created us from a primordial matter. So and if he created us ex nihilo out of nothing and before everything was only God, I mean, how does that not mean he created us from himself? I mean, do you get what I'm saying?
Well, God eternally knew all things and had all things in his mind, but that doesn't mean that he created everything that's in his mind. So there was a divine idea of you and me, but he creates the things that he wills to create. Just like you might have different ideas about a shed that you're going to build. Maybe you make it a blue shed, maybe you make it a 2-story shed, maybe you make it a 3-story shed, right? So you don't necessarily build every single idea that you have. You pick and you choose a certain idea. So yes, God has ideas, and he builds the ones that he wills.
Okay, yeah, for sure. No, that part I understand, I jive with. I guess I'm more so talking about substance. Where does our substance come from, like ex nihilo wise? I guess I'm not understanding that part.
It comes into existence out of nothing.
Okay. Do you have any resources I could check out, maybe read about to try to understand this philosophy?
I mean, there's not really a philosophy to understand. It's just it's a divinely revealed doctrine. Just like we don't know, what heaven is like. There's aspects of theology. We don't know what it's like to be the Trinity, right? So there's going to be aspects of theology that we don't know, and we believe it because it's revealed as that. So what is the
divine mystery that we have to have faith in, basically?
Yeah, and every faith, every position, every system, every worldview has elements of mystery within it. I mean, even if you're an atheist materialist, like, okay, where did the Big Bang come from? Well, we don't know. Of course. So there's no system or position that can exhaustively answer what does it mean in the sense of being ex nihilo, and where does the stuff come from? Well, there was God, and then God made other things other than God. We don't know beyond that. Jub, what's up?
Hey, Jay.
Hey.
Hey, I think you were talking about some criminal, like, crime movies earlier. And that reminded me to ask you if you've ever seen the Pusher trilogy. It's like a Danish film series.
Where people have the power to, like, push people or powers or whatever.
Yeah. It's
I remember the trailer. I never watched it.
Yeah, I gave it a chance. There's 3 movies, and it kind of explores the gritty underworld of criminals, and I think you might like it because I think it's a pretty well directed film.
Okay.
And maybe you could, like, I don't know, comment on it or something.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I don't remember much beyond kind of just perusing a little bit of it and then moving on, but thank you for that. Yeah, so if you've never seen The Recruit, I recommend it because it's a pretty interesting insight into, it's one of the first movies that the CIA directly consulted on, and so they put a lot of realism into the training at, the farm and all this stuff.
To welcome you here to the CIA Special Training Facility. Those of you who do graduate will be officially...
Hoo-ha! Hoo-ha! So Al Pacino is the villain, and Colin Farrell is the recruit. It's not a bad movie. It's just an interesting film in that the CIA recruited on it openly, like Milt Bearden, Chase Brandon. And then I think it was intended to be kind of one of those post 9/11 recruitment type movies, which there were several of these. It's interesting because the CIA, his handler is the bad guy. But again, you're kind of left with the impression that, we just got to root out a few of these bad apples. Similarly, in the Rami Malek movie, which was decent, right? You got this Hillary-esque woman here. She looks a lot better than Hillary, but she's, the good CIA director. And then I forget this actor's name, but your evil white man villain guy, right? Who's up to no good. And then Rami Malek, of course, launches out on his own vengeance operation, working with a KGB defector woman, and they get the bad guys, right? So, it wasn't a bad movie, but it was just it's like at a certain point, these narratives and these plots are just kind of silly. Paul, what's up?
Hello.
Yep.
Hey Jay, I was just wondering, from the Orthodox perspective, at what point would you consider someone a heretic? Because I know, like, obviously the Filioque from the Orthodox perspective would be a heretical belief, but is there
it's a person who's obstinate in their willing and obstinate in knowing the position. It's not just being wrong. Yep. Chinga.
Hello?
Uh-huh.
I had a question about the Orthodox churches in Ukraine and Russia. I've seen videos of...
Bro, I'm not trying to be rude, but, man, that's not on the topic today, man. The topics are clearly listed. Morgan James, $10. This is a direct quote from Russian Orthodox prayer book. Mary, for thee alone we have as our hope. Why do we hope for Mary? It's poetic language, man. It's not saying that Jesus isn't the ultimate hope. Just like Paul says to Timothy, if you act well, you will save those around you. Oh, I guess Timothy is replacing Jesus as the Savior. Now Timothy is the Savior. It's just normal language to say that, hey, if not for that guy, I would have lost my soul. He shared the gospel with me. He saved me. Okay, it's not in a exclusive ultimate sense. It's a limited sense. It's a mediated secondary cause sense. Christopher Scott, $5. Thank you so much. Volturu, $2. Leprechaun, stand up. Luis Toro, $5. I sent my lifelong Protestant aunt the Rock and Sand book by Father Josiah. Cool. I hope that she reads it. A lot of times, when you if you give boomers these kinds of books, they don't want to read it. I mean, I'm not saying she won't. I just a lot of times by that age, people are kind of set in their ways. They're not interested in converting or changing or. But I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm just saying when I see Aunt, I'm thinking, uh-oh. Tell her to put the box wine down and read a dang book. Guys, remember we have a sponsor, which is this right here, Chalk.com, the best in supplementation out there. Head on over to Chalk.com, use promo code J40, that's JY40 to get 40% off all those great products. Remember that we have the upcoming conference. I played you guys the excellent video that our buddy Mark made as a promo for the conference. The tickets to the conference, 2-day conference in November, are in the show description. So be sure to get those now. JAY40 to get 40% off all those great Chalk products. J44 Life to get 44% off. It is a subscription. That means that it'll come on the regular. You don't have to worry about reordering. You can get it always coming every month. You don't have to worry about it. And I think you're going to want Chalk coming on the regular. However, you can unsubscribe at any time if you are not a fan, if you don't like it. But I think you will, especially the Tomcat Elite. All right, guys, thank you so much. A lot of fun today. Good questions, good discussions, and I will catch up with you again this week. If you guys didn't see, we did do the part 2 to 10-year anniversary of Tragedy and Hope. It's been 10 years, and we reviewed it in a kind of a 4-hour overview. There was a part 1 a few days ago in regard to the Charlie Kirk assassination. And that one was right here called Kirk, the Big Picture and Tragedy and Hope. And then last night we did the part 2, which was the last half of Tragedy and Hope, kind of putting high-profile assassinations into the big picture. What does it mean? What do we see in previous high-profile assassinations? JFK, Archduke Franz Ferdinand. They tend to be things that kick off big-scale changes. Now, we don't know what's going to happen as a result of the Kirk thing. It seems like a lot of people are really waking up to how insane and radical the left has become. But we'll have to see what the results are. And, hopefully good can come of this. Dr. Alex, do you have notes when you're studying the differences of Orthodox and Catholics? Like key points to share? I don't have notes because in the sense of like some specific notebook, because it's a topic that I've spent 20 plus years in. So it's kind of something I know secondhand for the most part. Every now and then I learn a new thing that I kind of didn't know or forgot. I had forgotten that Gaudium et Spes teaches socialism and Marxism. So that was something that I was reminded of, the Vatican II document. We have, of course, the Errors of the Latins book, which is Sacred out now, Heart, which is essentially a compendium of these kinds of notes, so to speak. But we have, just infinite live streams where I've covered contradictions of Vatican I versus previous papal teaching, contradictions of Vatican I versus Vatican II. If you search my channel, you search YouTube, there's just basically an infinity of live streams covering these topics. I've covered these topics so many times, I am getting tired of covering these topics, honestly. And I feel, like I said, there's really not any point in debating anymore. There's no Roman Catholics left to debate, really. If you're looking for kind of easy videos that pop and hit, I think I did... This one is good right here about Muslims and Jews and Christians worshiping the same God. That's a pretty easy kill shot right there. There's a good one right here about, where's it at? This one dogmatic contradiction ends Roman Catholicism. That's a good one. This one right here, all the religions lead to God, Francis said. That's another kill shot. I think between these three, I mean, these are three kill shots. You don't need to go into like PhD level discussions of natural theology. Like it's not even that hard to. I mean, we just had a gay procession in the Vatican. Like, I mean, like what else do you need? Like, I mean, at a certain point you realize like there is no intellectual argument that's going to convince people. You know what I mean? Like they're going to have to be convinced on their own. If Francis saying all the religions leading God doesn't work, if the papal teaching about the Pope as an emperor, a world emperor necessary for salvation doctrine, if that doesn't show you a contradiction, and if they're worshiping the same God as the Muslims doesn't, I mean, if none of those things are convincing and they don't convince your friends, then maybe it's time to move on. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to keep beating a dead horse. Because I think those are some of the strongest. That's not all of them. I mean, Gaudium et Spes teaching socialism and Marxism, I mean, that should be enough. Like, how is that not a kill shot? Like, why would I accept a church that's telling me in its most recent dogmatic documents that I need to be a socialist Marxist? I mean, it's like, and it was former Roman Catholics that reminded me of that. I didn't even remember that. Right here. Marxism, socialism is taught in Gaudium et Spes, right here. Let me find the actual section where we talk about the documents. It's right here. It starts at about an hour in, or an hour and 20 minutes in. Like, how is this not a kill shot? But it's like, if they're not going to be... Look, Roman Catholics are obsessed with politics. Okay, fine. So let's set aside Nostra Aetate and all the insane level ecumenism and Lumen Gentium and Nostra Aetate. Let's talk about politics and the Marxism, socialism of Gaudium et Spes. Oh, well, I don't have to accept that document. Well, I mean, at this point, what is the point of Roman Catholicism? If I come into this and I literally don't have to accept anything I don't like, then there's no point to it. There is no point to the papal office as some sort of authority. Because when you really get into the nitty-gritty, all these people pick and choose the documents that they want. Then the papacy is meaningless. H. Brazzi. No, we did that. Excuse me. Alex, do you have more info on Bartholomew meeting at the White House? All I heard was that J.D. Vance rebuked him about Ukraine. I didn't even know about it until this morning. So I don't have... much more information than that, but thank you, Dr. Alex. Appreciate that. All right, thank you guys. Everybody have a good night, and try to get to church tomorrow if you can, and I'll see you later.